Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly. This is Grizzly True Crime, and we are busy with a very deep dive of Madeline Soto's case. She was last seen on February 25th, I would say, but okay, 26th of this year, and she had just turned 13. It's a terrible story of murder and abuse over the years. SA, I'm going to say for YouTube, of course. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. We've done lots of deep dives on this case before, so if you've never heard about it, you could just click more on in the description box. You can expand it and just read what it's about. There's also a link to the playlist over there, and you can see the timeline and map time and other documents we've looked at, and it's actually a wild amount of information that the police have shared with us, which is why I see a lot of people speculating. Does this mean that Stephan Sterns, is he gonna plead guilty? Like, why are they releasing so much information? I don't know. I'm sure there's still a lot more if this goes to trial, of course, which is the plan that we know of up to now. Anyway, so what we're doing, we've been listening to all these police interviews, which are audio only, that I received from a FOIA request. We've been looking at documents and deep diving everything that I received, right? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to an interview with Stephan Sterns' parents. He's the one that's been charged with the murder of Madeline Soto. First-degree premeditated murder, and over 60 counts of CSAM charges. So, welcome to all my moderators, to all my patrons, members, subscribers, any locals in chat. I hope that you guys are doing well, that you had a good weekend if you're watching live with me as well. And also, if you're only joining now as a member today, please check out my members only playlist, because we just had a members only live stream yesterday and it was really fun. I hope you guys will go check out the replay. I'm sure you will enjoy that. Thank you so much, Mom Interrupted, for your sticker, and Carrie, thanks for being a member for 10 months. Are we ready, guys? Okay, so what I'm going to do, as always, I try to make it at least that you can watch something while we're listening to an audio-only interview. Really wish that was video interviews, of course. Unfortunately, they said their detectives don't wear body-worn camera. So some of the interviews are just audio, and because I'm like, why? Where are the videos? Can we get the videos? Okay, anyway. So they said it's audio only. So we're going to listen to it, okay? And this would be Debra Sterns on the left and Christopher Sterns on the right. Stephan Sterns' parents, okay? So are we ready? Are we ready? All right. I'm just seeing what you guys are saying. So now I'm going to start playing this. It's 1 hour and 44 minutes. I'm going to make commentary. I know that's what you guys are mostly here for. Okay, if you want to hear just the raw files, maybe at some point I'll make another case file for you. I've already done that with all of Jenn Soto's interviews. If you want to go listen to that without any commentary. But even on that, people are like, where's G? Well, I'm right here and we're live right now. Okay, please like and share. And what we're going to do is I'll make some commentary. But in order for us to not sit here all night, because if I make just a little bit of commentary, it adds on a lot of time. I will be typing comments in the chat as well. And I'll put them on the screen in case, people don't know how to access the live chat replay. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started here. We go to 0. And let me know how the sound is. I hope it's good.
There we go. That's better. Because that's better. That thing will blow. All right, I'm going to turn my phone off. I just have to back up. I may fix a cup of coffee. I'm always thirsty these days. Lucy, we're both on diets. We're taking, she's taking Ozempic, I'm taking Mounjaro.
Uh-huh.
And I've lost nearly 40 pounds.
Wow.
28.
And I'm but I just have to keep hydrated all the time. I'm just always thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for meeting with us this morning.
Our pleasure.
This has been a long few days, long week, and I can imagine what it is for you guys.
Full of lots of surprises.
Yeah.
We're in the 7th ring of hell.
So the reason we made the trip down here today is I know you spoke to Alex, I think.
Yeah, Alex, yeah.
Yeah, with Orange County, and may have spoke to Corporal Ilgen that works with us.
Is he this tall, slim guy?
No,
Was
he's.
he
Okay, I'm already gonna pause. So shame. The mom's like, we are in the 7th ring of hell. Like, this is terrible, right? And it would be, especially now, based on what their son has been charged with. Oh my goodness. Ellie Katz says, for a word, I love your commentary. I usually just listen while I'm at work, so hearing your perspective is nice. Thank you so much. I do also quickly want to say, if you have heard this audio already, don't turn away. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you picked up, what you know, as we go, as we listen to it. It's always great if this is your second or third time listening to it. Of course, I myself have listened to it in preparing all of this for you. So it's really great to hear your insights. And especially if you didn't pick something up, the first time, then say what you maybe hear now. I love your commentary. Crazy Shark Lady, thanks for being a member for 14 months. You said the Grizzlies are the best. I know, right? The Grizzlies are the best. All right. So I wanted to show you, someone was asking, is this logo? I don't actually know what this logo is, but okay. Here's, sorry, I should have given a trigger warning before I just put that up. Here's the logo on Stephan Sterns' back. Sorry about that. So, no, it's not the same. Just to answer that question, it's not the same. Tanya, thank you so much from South Africa. Thank you so much, and thank you for your very kind email. That was so nice. Okay, so let me take the picture off again, and here we go.
Orange County?
I think you may have talked to him out in the parking lot in Orange County.
Yeah.
Bald guy, probably wearing a SWAT shirt.
No, that didn't work. I didn't. There was somebody else I thought was from Kissimmee PD, but and I thought actually you were him, but obviously not.
So
you're better looking he is.
I appreciate it. But since I'm the lead detective and he's my partner in the case, we kind of want to get eyes and talk to everybody that's involved. That's the only reason.
Expecting you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason we're here is basically try to get a background of what you know about Stephan and Jennifer's relationship and that sort of thing and stuff like that. So we can do it one of two ways. I can just give you guys the floor and you can let us know what their dynamic was, or I can do it question and answer wise, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, if you do it question and answer wise, you'll get the answers that you wanted. If you let us sit here and ramble on for half an hour, you may not get what you want. You still have to ask the question.
Fair enough for me.
We can fill in the gaps.
Yes.
That comment right there, she's a boss lady. She's like, well, just like, hello, ask us the questions rather. Just now we talk for half an hour and then we're not saying the things that you want to know. She's very practical. Just ask us what you want to know and we'll tell you. So I know that in previous live streams, we've raised a skeptical brow at the parents, especially because of what we heard from the jail calls and, emails and things. Okay, when they were basically, it sounded like nurturing their baby boy, like saying, what book would you like next? And we'll get you an origami book. And you need some more candy? We'll top up your account. We're like, what the hell is that? But, I must say, in hearing, now that's obviously later than this. This happened in March of 2024, this interview. But I must say here, very skeptical about their own son. The dad is spot on. He's the whole time like, yeah, that was sus. That was weird. Also, if you did the document deep dive with us yesterday and the day before, it's on the playlist, okay? There as well, a lot of what Christopher Sterns says in this interview, you've already heard me read to you from those documents. So it's so nice to have read that and deep dived and made so much commentary on it. And now we can hear it for ourselves, right? We can hear how he says it, with what tone and all of that. So that's really great. Thank you, Claudia. Okay, let's keep going.
All right. So any idea how long Stephan and Jen have been in a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 and 8 years, or on and off, or?
They were friends first, close friends first, and then it evolved into a romantic relationship. I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Why not?
Didn't approve of her.
No.
Why
She was
is that?
bad influence on it because of her
Drugs.
well, drugs plus I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you, And I just didn't feel that she was going to be a good influence for him.
She's bipolar, she's bisexual, she's a drug addict, she had a young child. The family was disapproving, and
Damn, she got some snark for Jen. She's bipolar, she's bisexual, she's drug addict with the young child. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, whoa, let's just back it up a second. Their son, think about what he is now, accused of, oh my word, like a predator and a groomer, child abuser, and he's not working. He's leeching off everyone. A spineless creature, right? So, I don't know. I just feel like the vibe I get is almost like Stephan can do no wrong. Jen is a very bad influence on him. Yeah, it's probably right what they say later is that the relationship together was probably not good. Okay.
she was sharing those drugs with Stephan. And I don't approve of vaping. We don't do any drugs. We don't even drink. I can't even take specified medication for pain because my body rejects them and I get really, really sick from them. So, I mean, went through open heart surgery on Tylenol.
Wow.
So it's
And they were
She's
both,
nice. She's nice.
they slept all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a hard enough time dealing with Stephan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. It's like they were feeding off of each other, and none of it in a positive way. And that's why I disapprove. I disapproved of a lot of Stephan's
Well, that's the only
people.
thing. Yeah, only thing her mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship because if Jen started spiraling down one of her holes of depression, she took Stephan with him. If he was depressed, he brought her in, and it was just always like a balancing act with those two. This is not good. It's not a good dynamic.
You know, when you said they were always sleeping, like constantly,
Yeah.
were they taking medicine to go sleeping, or
No.
they were just?
They were faked out.
Yeah. Well, Stephan has a sleep.
Okay, so they don't like Jen and they do not like vaping. Just like, yeah, they were vaped out. These two were vaping and we don't approve of that. Oh dear. If they're gonna watch this, they're not gonna like it. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Kathleen's like, okay, but let's make it all about you, right?
Disorder, sleep apnea. And so he's been tested for it, and his he would be up all night and sleep all day, type of deal. And we really didn't have that much physical interaction with them. These are things that we just observed from a distance, and trying to talk to Stephan at times, but we just really didn't have any social activity with them to speak of.
When Stephan would be here in town, like what would his routine be? Is he a homebody, or?
He locked himself in his room, and we would see him maybe once in a while, tell him dinner's ready, but he was constantly in his room all the time.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer.
Okay.
He said,
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer. 37 years old, behaving like, I don't even know what age to say. Should I say 9-year-old, 12, a teenager? I don't know, but this man was 37 years old, living at Mama's house, just like painting his figurines and not coming out of his room. And he doesn't feel like working, okay? So he doesn't have to. Like, what? Like, where's the discipline? Little late for that, but you know what I mean. What is going on here? It's pretty scary to think about, right? This is that it's very dangerous when people are overcoddled. I was going to say men, but it actually goes both ways. We can have baby girl and baby boys, right? When they're enabled and overcoddled. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Failure to Launch. If you haven't, it's a comedy. It's a very good movie, but it reminds me of that. And when the helper comes in, Sarah Jessica Parker, then she says, you need to stop doing that. Like, let him do his own washing. Like, you need to stop literally nurturing this guy if you want him to ever like grow up, stand on his own 2 feet. So I don't know what was going on there, but it just sounds ridiculous because he's 37. Oh my word. Nurse Janice, thank you. Welcome back. Okay, so we go.
a lot of time doing that. A lot of time learning the new books as they came out, a lot of time online. He did go play Warhammer with the guys once a week. Tried to get him to go to the beach, tried to get him to go to church, tried to get him to go shooting with us. No.
Did he give an excuse why that he wouldn't want to go?
Feel like it.
Just no motivation.
And he walked around with Jen on the phone on FaceTime all the time. I would be in the kitchen, I would look up and I would see Jen, and she's like, oh. And I look at her and her eyes are open. I said, Jen, are you baked? And she says, oh yeah. I'm like,
And this is recently or throughout
that
the
was
years?
in the last few weeks, yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't. I brought him back in December because I was supporting him living there, and I didn't know that I was supporting the whole family. Mm-hmm. Again, Stephan's great at omitting information and not being transparent with me,
And of course, Stephan's great at omitting information and not being transparent with me. Yes, and what we've learned, it seems like Stephan lies a lot. He could be a pathological liar. I'm not armchair diagnosing, it seems like he could be. Right? It's just like, yeah, he's great at omitting information. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've gathered that, right? Oh my goodness. So, okay, let's keep going.
I just reached the point. I said I can't afford to have you working for Disney, and there's always a deficit in his budget for one reason or another. But somehow he had expensive toys and what have you, and where the money came for that, he didn't even after he arrived here. Packages were arriving. I said, well, I'm not giving him any money. Where the hell is it? Stephan, it's money I saved, and I'm sitting here going, Bohica. You know what Bohica is? It's an acronym. Bend over, here it comes again. Mm-hmm. And, he called me up and said, well, I'm short of funds. Can you, Zelle me $150, send him that. But meanwhile, now he's telling me he's got money in savings, which I didn't believe. Mm-hmm. So where the money was coming from, I have no idea. But these packages just kept arriving.
When you would support him, how would you get him money?
I sell it.
Okay.
And I paid him, Juan charged Jen rent, and then in November of 2022, the reason why I know that because I looked it up the other day. I said, how far back have I been paying rent there? But he started charging Stephan rent, even though he was sharing a room with Jen. Mm-hmm. And then they decided that they weren't going to be in a relationship anymore, and he took over a full room, and now I had to pay $600. And so this just kept escalating. He wasn't taking care of his car. I was waiting for that shoe to drop. So finally I said, I can't afford you to live there anymore, and I moved him back here. Mm-hmm. And I thought, we had hoped that the year that he had spent at Disney, that he had matured and was now, accepting responsibility and had a disciplined routine, and that I could bring him back here and help him maybe develop into something with a better career path than working for Disney forever and not getting anywhere, because at $30,000 a year he couldn't support himself if he wanted to live on his own. Right. And that turned out to be a huge disappointment, because he fell right back into his same MO. Lock himself.
Oh, his same MO. Mm-hmm. What are all these packages that he's receiving? Is it really all the little figurines and the paint and the Warhammer and the Tamagotchi? Or what else? What was Stephan Sterns doing to generate that income? Right? I can see you guys are speculating what I'm thinking. Just like, oh no. He was probably on Telegram and in groups, I think on, I don't know where it is, Discord or wherever they go. Who knows? I know that a lot of predators use Telegram. I've heard that. I also saw the creator of Telegram was arrested, I think yesterday, something like that. But for it not being regulated. So who knows what all he was doing to generate all the income to have his little spoils, right? Oh my word. Hey, Paula said maybe their baby boy should have grown up and learned to support himself and have a work ethic rather than they continue to enable him to be a no mark at 37. Right? Yes. In my opinion, I find his mother to be very enabling of his behavior. Very, over coddling and, justifying everything he does. He can literally do no wrong, it sounds like. But the dad is kind of like, that was odd. That's strange. Yeah, he omits information. Like, I see things that are sus. So it's interesting to listen to this for sure.
In his room, wouldn't help us around the house, and we were like on eggshells because when he was here, it was always tension because of his sleep disorder, and the dogs obviously are not the quietest things in the world.
Right.
And they have their routine, we have our routine, so we let them out in the evening and it's chaos with them. We let them out in the morning, it's chaos, but for the most of the time, they're at feeding time, they're quiet,
Mm-hmm.
But again, that would disturb him and didn't want to cause a flare up with them.
So when it would disturb him with the dogs, was that during the daytime or was him trying to sleep at night?
Oh, it could be any time.
Oh, okay.
They're literally expressing some sort of anger issue there as well. Irritability, like, he was just like, we didn't want another flare up, like what? They were also a poodle, or maybe they are still poodle breeders. So that's why they're talking about the dogs, in case you didn't know that. Okay, so let's keep listening.
If anybody comes to the door, get a package, a rat farts in the yard, doesn't matter, they hear it.
So if he's sleeping during the day and we're doing our daily routine, there's going to be distraction. If I come in the house, they're going
She literally said a rat farts in the yard. Is that what we just heard? What?
Hey, I'm home. They'd be a lot harder.
Right.
So, but I would just hope that he was soundly sleeping and that he would just sleep through it. But occasionally you would hear a bark out from him.
Or if he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
So when you said you brought him back in December, do you remember when? First part of December, end of December?
I'd have to look up. It'd be early part of December because I was trying to get him out of there. I thought it was the end of November. It could have been at the very end of November or the very first part of December because I didn't want to owe Juan another month's rent. I wanted him out of there.
But did he mention if they were split up at that time or if they were still?
Well, they were supposed to be officially broken up.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever say why they broke up?
They just, yes and no. Jen told me as recent of.
Pause. Remember yesterday in the document we read that yes and no. Well, now we can hear how he says, well, yes and no, because of this and this. Wow. To hear that Stephan, his little ears were so sensitive, okay? That if he hears a rat fart in the yard, then he'd be screaming, be quiet. It's almost like, Ma, bring the meatloaf. I don't know if you guys know that reference, but like, what? Why is he just screaming from his room? Just like, shut up, everyone. Okay, contribute. Lift a finger, maybe.
Recently as last week, she didn't want him as a partner. Mm-hmm. She realized that he was not going to be a good partner, but I assume that they both recognized that they wanted to go their separate ways. And I would say that occurred several months before because there was one time he mentioned he was socializing with somebody at Disney and that didn't go over well or something. She didn't like that. So
I told him, we both told him he would never get into a healthy relationship until he got away from her because what are you going to do? You're renting a room, you're going to bring a new woman into your room with your ex in the next room? Mm-hmm. That's a bad recipe.
What else is a bad recipe is sleeping in the room with a child from when she was 8. I'm not saying they knew it, but damn, right? In hindsight, like, oh dear, it was so much worse than that. You know what? I put in my timestamps yesterday, in the deep dive part 2 we did of the document yesterday, I put a little note at the bottom because there's one part I started getting worried about the names of the minors not being redacted, and then I skipped over a part. And there was one little paragraph that I still wanted to share with you where an ex-girlfriend of Stephan Sterns said that he, and trigger warning, I'm just letting you know it's going to be adult content, of course, okay, that he really struggled to get an erection unless she would lie on her, face down and basically play dead. Then she said, then he would get turned on. I'm like, that is so sick. Like, oh my goodness. If you, I don't know. It just makes me think. Sure. It's quite, based on everything we know about Stephan Sterns, I think things get quite dark psychologically, right?
Did this ever happen within the last 7 years? Did they break up and get back together and that sort of thing? Or
I think so.
I seem to recollect that there there might have been a pause in that relationship, maybe to the extent of how involved the relationship was, and maybe it became more social than more of a relationship type of thing. But again, clueless as to exactly the extent of how involved the relationship really was. I mean, I always thought it was just good friends and you know, sex with benefit type of thing. But I don't know how committed they were to one another.
And that was going on all the way up until December.
Well, actually,
You think?
before December, because like I said, when he went into the room on his own, that basically was probably the time that the relationship ended. So,
Do you remember when that was? You said November?
Yeah, I'm going to try to. Let's see. He left in December, maybe 3 or 4 months before he pulled out of there. I think only paid 3 or 4 months at 600, maybe 3 months. I'd have to look it up.
Do you know if when he came back here in December, was he ever making trips back to Kissimmee at all?
There was I think 3 occasions he went back. This last trip, with when all this stuff happened, a trip before that, and then he went back for Thanksgiving, or he was there for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, so he wasn't.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then there he was for Maddie's birthday. So it's like he ruins any holiday that she could possibly look forward to. And I'm obviously basing that on the evidence on his phone and what we now know he was doing to her. So it's like, oh yeah, he went there for like Thanksgiving and also Christmas. Now, what's interesting is, I think he says it here, in the document, they talked about Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then this was the 3rd time, okay, since then. But now, when we actually hear the audio, it sounds more like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and 2 to 3 times in 2024. So we've got to listen to everything to get the whole story. Oh my word. You know how many times I tried to track Jen's story, Stephan's story, and all the different versions? Oh my word. We'll have to put that all together at some point to make a full timeline while we're trying to track their lies. Yes, Jen's lies too. She has blatant lies sometimes, which is infuriating. And just the whole picture, right?
Invited to the family events, and but he was there at that time.
Okay. I'm assuming just visiting Jen, or was he visiting other people?
He was visiting Jen.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who else he would be associated with at that time.
Okay.
I don't think he had any relationships outside of Jen. Maybe I think there was a time or two he mentioned that he was going to go out with some cast members after work. But
Bear was one of them.
yeah, but that's the only time.
Has he ever lived in Kissimmee prior to meeting Jen?
No.
No. Okay. Always here in Northport, or has he lived elsewhere?
Well, we moved here.
Windermere.
We moved here in May of 2020, so he was always at our home there, or he lived here. And then we finally got him out of here, and there was an opportunity for him to go live in Kissimmee.
Okay. But with Jen is when he moved to Kissimmee.
Yeah, not on his own.
They were both supposed to be working at Disney together, but she can't keep a job
Do you know why?
because of the bipolar.
Well,
And she doesn't.
She can't keep a job, but your baby boy doesn't even know how to get one. Now, I'm not here to defend Jen right now, okay? I'm just... It's just like unbelievable how much they snark at Jen. You know, like, well, she can't keep a job, okay? And can your son get one? That wouldn't be nice.
She doesn't want to lose her state benefits.
but depending on the type of work, she had back issues or something. So she couldn't do physical things. And now she did have a job as a concierge that didn't require any pressure or stress on her back or something. But there was always something that prevented her from working. Couldn't do dog sitting or whatever job it was, it would last no more than 2 weeks. And then she'd be back
And she was
crashing
going to
home
go to
all the
school
time.
for nursing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, save the world.
Well, then she was going to get into graphic design.
Oh yeah.
Dad bought her an Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes or online, and that didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
From her.
Stephan?
Both of them.
Oh, from both of them. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And everything that we're basically telling.
Okay, we're only 15 minutes in. It's an hour 44 interview, okay? I just want to say that obviously, instead of just staring at their photo, the entire live stream, right? Many of you, we like visual things. So I've just put on the right-hand side there of them throughout this whole clip that I've made. I've overlaid some body cam, some of these interviews. So you'll see Jenn Soto, then you'll see Stephan Sterns, all sorts of things on the side there. Just, I don't know, in case you want something to look at while we watch this. And it's interesting to look at body language either way when the sound is off for that, right? So we're kind of doing a few things at once, just in case you wonder. Ooh, 99 Pink Balloon says, Stephan Sterns slept with mommy and daddy for many years. Why? Sounds unhealthy. Was he being creepy towards his own mom? I don't know, man. So scary, those thoughts.
I'll tell you, so a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this, any of this stuff. Very, very little interaction with them. When they were here, they were either in Stephan's room. Maddie always slept with Debbie, but and Maddie floated around here, played with the dogs, did things that little girls do with Debbie.
We did some arts and crafts together.
You were teaching her knitting? Crocheting, yeah.
So that was going to be my next question. So Jenn and Maddie and Stephan came here to visit at some point, or a few times maybe.
Yeah. Well, if he was here, living here, she would actually come down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, very few trips. The last trip we saw them was we didn't see them, but I think we saw them early 2023, and then maybe for Thanksgiving 2022.
Okay. And then when they were here, you're saying Stephan and Jenn would sleep in or would hang out in Stephan's room, and then Maddie would sleep with you, or be with you? Okay. Why is that? Do you know?
Number one, he's a slob. Number two, he only has a queen-size bed.
Okay.
And number three, I didn't think it was a healthy environment. They were going to have her sleeping on the floor, on the sleeping bag. And I said, I have a king-size bed. I sleep on 36 inches of it. There's a whole side of a bed. Why can't she be comfortable? So I just insisted that she come in with me, and I had the dogs with me. So if she got up, what Jenn used to tell me was, she would wake up in the middle of the night and she'd come and climb in bed with them. I said, well, you're going to have the dogs here. If you get out of bed, you're gonna rouse the dogs up. So.
I got you. Did they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
Just what I just told you. That if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her, as Maddie got older, because we've known Maddie for 7 years, we've watched her grow up. I mean, this is very hard. But she, cute, sweet girl, she was. But then she started, in the last year,
When you heard that, don't you just hear how Stephan Sterns said as well? Debra said she's a sweet, she was a sweet girl. And that's what Stephan said as well. He uses the same language, of course, as his parents. It makes sense. But he was like, she was a sweet, sweet girl. Or she is a sweet. Remember that from the interview. Oh, my word.
Showing signs of bipolar as well. And Jenn was horrified by that. They were butting heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time. And they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going on.
And you witnessed them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Stephan. I would hear them going at each other in the background. But that's, and I would say, what's going on? Well, Maddie and Jenny are at it again, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She went to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right.
It's hormones in me, but anyhow, she developed quickly, became pretty precocious, and other than that, I don't think she had a lot of friends at school. I don't think that she was a very social person. She had been, if you remember, Stephan and Jenn both told us that after she began developing physically, that there were some boys at school last year that would push her up against the wall and grab a feel and bully her. And they were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped. But
They were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped. Is that true? Or was Stephan not wanting Maddie to have a crush on any other boys? You know what I'm saying? Because that story sounds like it's coming from Stephan. If it's happening at school, that's bad. But if they're like, yeah, they're having trouble with the school, I don't know, are you sure about that? Wouldn't the school sort that out? I worry about Stephan Sterns and his jealousy and feeling so possessive over Maddie, right? Heather Smith, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Please like and share so others can also learn this information. I think it's very interesting how much information we're able to process here together in this case and learn as much as possible of what happened here and how can others stay safe. I mean, one way would be to really just be very careful who one allows around one's children. And certain things are just universally not okay. Like in this case, man, to have the boyfriend, a 37-year-old man, sending him upstairs to go and sleep in the same bed as your 13-year-old then daughter. No, in no world would that ever be okay. Oh my goodness.
But anyway, when they visited here, she was either out here or they were watching movies together. But when it came to sleeping time, she was definitely in Deb's room.
Yeah.
Okay. Any time where either Jenn and Maddie would be sleeping in that room without Stephan, or
No.
okay, so the only person that would separate from them would be Maddie when she was sleeping with you.
And like I say, she was always floating around because she was bored looking for something.
And
to do.
before that, as you see the holes, we had a TV there, and we didn't have one in my room that was big, very big, but we moved that one. So I would sit out here with Maddie when they were in there, and we'd watch TV together too. We even got the Disney Channel for her, so she'd have it.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if Maddie or Jenn, when they were sleeping here, did they take medicine at night or anything like that you know of?
No,
Or did Stephan take any? Has he been prescribed any medication?
he has been prescribed an anti-anxiety medication and a ADHD medication. He's got Adderall and something clomidine, for sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the first part of it is, but
Really didn't know his medical routines at all, hers or Jen's, other than the fact that
she was always changing medications.
Mm-hmm.
she was, I think, taking medication for depressant and
Bipolar.
anxiety and bipolar, but I don't know anything beyond that.
She had a prescription for medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
And so she vaped all the time, and she shared it with Stephan. I wouldn't allow it in my house. I don't like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you're going to do that, you have to be outside. You can't bring it in here.
Okay, Claudia says, is Stephan the only child, any other child? I think he has a brother. I'm basing that on roommates that had called into some YouTube channels. I think he had a brother, if I'm not mistaken. This interview took place in March. I think it was March 26th. I'll just double check that now. March of 2024. Okay, so Stephan was already arrested on February 28th. Yep.
Now, after Stephan moved back here in December and he made the trips back to Kissimmee, would he drive the silver car? Your
That's
car?
the first time he ever drove that
No. He drove the silver car
Oh, that's
because
right.
his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I wanted to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded, and now I'm dealing with a disabled car.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car at all. It's probably going to need about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of repair on it. I'm sure if I take it in, I'm sure it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000. AC was been acting up on it, but I didn't trust it for long trips. If he was just if he was in Kissimmee commuting to Disney, that's one thing, but not long trips.
Right.
Matter of fact, I had him tow it down here, not drive it down.
Got it. So, is it safe to say this last time he came, and then maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas is when he took the silver car, or Thanksgiving too?
So this last time, then he made it. When he came down here, he made a trip. When he first got down here, he made another trip back to get more stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was one trip, and then there was the trip in between. I guess he went up for Christmas because I think he was here for Thanksgiving. And then there was this most recent trip. So as far as I know, I think it was just 3 trips.
Now, when he would come back from there, would he have like loads of stuff? Like, I don't want to say furniture because there wasn't furniture.
It would just be leftover stuff that, for whatever reason, he had a 10-foot truck, and just the front end of it and all of it, the back was available.
So he rented a moving truck to grab.
I rented it.
Oh, okay.
It was more truck than he needed, and why he didn't get everything he had was ridiculous, because it basically came down to his typical modus operandi. He waited till the last minute, and then didn't have enough time to put stuff up there or whatever, but he didn't bring everything back with him.
Got it. Did he say why he didn't grab his stuff?
He didn't have to. Well, basically, if he did, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough time. He's like, bullshit. He had weeks to plan for this. I kept on him about that. He's completely opposite of me. I start to organize stuff and get stuff done, not wait till the last minute, but he waited until the last minute. Very fun.
Sorry, I'm trying to find a natural breaking point here. A lot of people asking how far did they live from where Jenn lived. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes and about 150 miles. They lived in Northport, Florida, which is also where Brian Laundries' parents live. Whoa. And she lived in that, what is the area called? In Kissimmee, Florida, right in the Venetian Bay Villages complexes. So if that gets distracting on the right-hand side, just tell me. Then I can just put a picture over here. I just wanted to keep you guys visually entertained while we listen to all of this for it's an hour 44. And if we talk like this a little bit, it'll be like 2.5 hours, I'm sure.
Frustrating.
How long was he in Kissimmee when he made these trips?
Well, he stayed up there. If he went up there, he was up there for the day. Maybe he stayed up there a day or two.
Okay. Usually.
No rush to get back. No urgency to come back.
There's
a lot of interesting little things, like saying, oh, it's just like a day or two. Okay, but no rush to get back. But Jenn said this time he was going to stay for a week. And also why, just a few little bullet points, right? Why would Maddie be so embarrassed of Stephan Sterns' dad's car? If he sometimes came in his car, maybe she was embarrassed of that one. I still think that's just a story that obviously he made up to be like, oh no, that's why I dropped her off there. Okay. And then there was a comment I missed earlier where Grunge Truck also said sleep disorder, probably because he was online all night. Yes. He was online gaming and doing other things, other terrible things. They found evidence on his hard drives, right? Okay. So
last time he went up here, or to Kissimmee, did he say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday, okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that? Or
I think he was asked
him to please come.
And you heard Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember when that was? Because I know she had a party on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
was
when?
Was it Saturday?
I guess.
Or was it?
To make sure he was coming.
Something odd on Saturday. I don't know if was the invite on Saturday, or did he just say Sunday I'm going to Kissimmee?
No, we knew. I knew the week before because I found the gifts for Maddie.
Okay. He seemed to be very upset. Matter of fact, he came to me and said, "Do you have any anxiety medication?" I go, "No, sorry, don't have anything like that. Everything I have is for diabetes or heart." Mm-hmm. And then he went to Debbie and said, "I don't have any." And then he came back and said, "Well, I found some 4-year-old stuff." I said, "Oh, okay." But he was suffering from high anxiety, man. I don't know what he was stressed out about.
When was this?
Sometime in the evening. I don't know.
Oh, Saturday or
Saturday.
Days prior to that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's making, and then I guess the medication worked, and again he looked like he was like very stressed out.
Have you ever seen him like that before?
Yes, when he was very stressed out. Mm-hmm. And
just remember, that's the Saturday before he went. Saturday, the 24th of Feb. That's the day that Debra Sterns says Stephan got a call from Maddie And then his dad says, then Stephan was all stressed. He's looking for anxiety meds. He's saying, oh, I found something that I assume would be 4 years old, like maybe expired. I don't know. Okay. And so that's when he's super stressed. And then he's going there the next day. That is very interesting, right? I do wonder if maybe Maddie was like, are you still coming tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, he's still coming tomorrow. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to tell on you, or whatever it would be. Or maybe she said, I've got a boyfriend, or I've got a crush on someone, or whatever it is, right? Oh my goodness, shame.
He was like, better tiptoe, not sure if he's going to blow up or not. He seemed like he was calm enough, but, I didn't know if anything could trigger him or not.
You hear that? Better tiptoe, otherwise, he's going to get angry. Why do the parents have to tiptoe around him so that he doesn't get upset? Like, he's going to blow. Ooh, he's going to get so angry. Like, what? That is quite something, right? Shraddha says, sorry, do we know around time of death? Not really. The police have said between February 25th and 27th. We know that at 9:40 a.m. on Monday, February 26th, Stephan Sterns transferred Maddie's body from the passenger seat to the trunk, and they said limp body. So if you take that and you take rigor mortis into account, being 6 to 12 hours, sometime in the early morning hours of February 26th. That is around then when it would be, but they haven't disclosed that.
Did it seem like he was more in fear of something or scared of something, or just...
It was a different, other than, being really upset about something, it looked like he was stressed out over something. Obviously, he never shared any of his feelings with us. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea it was stressing him out, but something really had him upset.
Angry upset, or just not that type of upset?
Not angry upset, but just something worrisome. Just seemed like there was something that was really preying on him, and it was not settling well with him.
Mm-hmm. And that's when he told you guys he was going to Kissimmee, or did he tell Mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and I don't know exactly when this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. I said, well, go down and fill up the car, and I'll take care of that. That would be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but you're telling me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I wasn't aware of it until the last minute.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah.
Did he say how long he planned on staying in Kissimmee?
A week.
A week.
Yeah. We were planning on him to be gone for a week because we were welcoming the break.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. What did you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something, and
yes, that's a good question. I want to know what Jen Soto also gave Madeline on her birthday for a gift, right? Because apparently Maddie says to her friends nothing. She was very upset. Oh my goodness. Okay, so they were welcoming the break. They were glad that he's going to go there for a week. Oh my. Okay, so
they looked marvelous, but then I got it, and I think this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called Mermaid's Beads, and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual colored bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. So they're really neat. It's by No Goo, and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she would really like, because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift, that's just going to sit where it could be doing good someplace, somebody could enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So just gave him the boxes and said, are you going to gift wrap them? He said, no, I'll just take them like this. So.
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
So I tried reaching Stephan. He called me when he got to Kissimmee Sunday.
Any idea when he called you?
I know exactly because I wrote out the timeline this morning.
Okay.
The dad wrote out the timeline. Nice, okay. Patricia says, was his anxiety attack before or after the phone call from Maddie? They didn't specify. I wish they did. I would speculate after. That would be the most logical thing, right? But we just don't know. Unfortunately, that we haven't seen those details. So, okay.
48 p.m. Okay. But then I noticed on some pass that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were 2 sun pass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something. But I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I get a call from him at 3:17. Mm-hmm. And his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just, tired, and then maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then during that conversation, he says, oh, by the way, I had a flat tire. Radar goes up. I go, what do you mean you had a flat tire? Where could you have gotten a flat tire? And I'm not going to say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, but he's just driving from here to the apartment and shouldn't be driving anywhere else, per se. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just got a flat tire. Okay, where? 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Mm-hmm. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel? Mm-hmm. So then he described that he was changing the tire and that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes. And I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what's going to cost to repair it. I'm sitting there counting. It's going to cost me several $100s for this now. Mm-hmm. And then that was it. And then 4:54. I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer. I'm going to take him into a house, and he calls. And he says, I'm en route to Maddie's grandmother. There's been an occurrence. I said, well, that's a strange word to use, but okay. And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon. The flat tire, and now this. And so he said, well, I took Maddie to school this morning, and I dropped her off just down from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because I'm not driving a cool enough car. I said, okay, well, understand that. Teenager, peer pressure, what have you. Mm-hmm. And he said, I watched her walk towards the school out of the rearview mirror as I pulled away. And so then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. We went to pick her up, and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she had been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that.
Okay, I just want to pause it there because somebody sent a really good comment yesterday and said, so Annie Frank commented, I find it really ballsy that he put Maddie in the trunk and then drove back to Jen's house, considering he had no idea when or if the school would call informing Jen that she never made it to school. The only way he could be comfortable with her in the trunk is if Jen knew she never made it to school. Isn't that a good point? Right? This whole oh no, and then we found out she didn't even make it to school. But if you remember, he drove around with Maddie's body for 2 hours, then pulled into some parking garage in a building, backed it up, and then moved her body to the trunk. Then he went back to the house and chilled with Jen for a little while and then left. So that is very interesting, because how would he risk that if she didn't know, if Jen truly knew nothing? Ooh, that is, that one was a good one. Okay, so.
The area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for, abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking, and that there's a good chance that she's been abducted. Mm-hmm. typical questions. Well, what have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay. Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation, and he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this. Mm-hmm. Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. Mm-hmm. And it was exactly the same routine, same explanation, the whole deal. And so then I kept in touch with them throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news, and then that was it until Tuesday, and then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday. Maybe it was the afternoon, and again, just trying to get an update, what's going on. And then as the day expanded, then the police were now more involved, and there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
Backtracking to Monday, so you talked to him, you said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did it call go right to voicemail, or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all of that. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jen had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes.
So Jen also told Stephan's mother that story. Interesting. Okay, and it might have been the case. Maybe Maddie was embarrassed of Stephan himself, of course, but also he hardly ever took her to school, so... Whew, man, the things that Jen Soto says, oh my goodness, red flag stuff, right? So he called his dad around, I think he said 3:18 p.m., and where was Stephan? At 2:45 that afternoon, he entered the rear gate of the complex where Jen lived. And then at 24 minutes past 3, he was at the dumpster. He went to the dumpster at least 4 times. He was getting rid of a whole lot of stuff. They've only so far really mentioned to the public the backpack, the 1 crock, the laptop. There was a hoodie in that backpack as well, and some books and things. But I don't know what all he was throwing away. And also, what made me think last night after that whole document deep dive we did was, what in the hell what clothing was Stephan Sterns washing? Because his boxer short and one of Maddie's panties was in her makeshift bedroom under the blankets, and then his boxer shorts right there. So what was he washing? What clothing was he washing? What was he washing? Right? The roommate said he was washing clothes, and she's never seen him do that. So just so that we know, okay, the timeline, let's hear what the dad says around then. Interesting also how Stephan the whole time was like, I forgot my phone again. Oh, just another time. But if he forgot his phone at the apartment and Jen was trying to call him, wouldn't it be ringing in the house? You know what I mean?
And he never said anything about it being a high traffic area or anything like that. She just said, it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. We make sure nobody's in the overpass, hanging out. And so we just watch. And then Stephan said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jen said, we dropped him off. Mm-hmm. She said it several times. And so I don't know if, do you want any conjecture or no?
In one clip of that audio interview we listened to of Jen's, we listened to 5 of them, but in those clips, she actually said at one point, I took it to school. Whoa, so Jen mostly said we, but one she actually said I. I mean we. Like, not even we. He did. And not even to school, right? Oh my goodness. So, okay.
The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size. Mm-hmm. She wore Maddie's clothes with the hoodie up to cover the dark hair instead of the light hair. And that was Jen we saw sitting at the church in the picture. Mm-hmm. Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time. Mm-hmm. So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit. Mm-hmm. And she's cool, calm, and collected, and he's a sobbing, wet mess.
It's so interesting hearing all these different perspectives. I mean, Stephan's mother is saying he's like the sobbing, like super sad, like he's a mess, and then she's all cool, calm, and collected. Whereas Jenn Soto's roommates were saying like he was so calm, it was so eerie, and she was a mess. It's interesting, right? Oh my word. Confirmation bias.
So my call to him at 2:25 was 2 seconds, so no connection.
Gotcha.
And then he called me at 3:17, and that conversation lasted 3 minutes.
And you said he was upset at that time, or he seemed?
No, he seemed off, and I said, well, maybe the anxiety medications or what have you was keeping him somewhat kind of flat, monotone in a way. Mm-hmm. Nothing upbeat about it. And then, matter of factly, I had a flat tire. We talked about that, and then.
Did he plan on taking the car to a tire shop? Did you guys confirm that plan? Or
I told him to. I said, he's driving on the donut. And we both confirmed that, the donut wouldn't last long, and that, he needed to get that quickly replaced. And I expected him to do it. I didn't expect for him to do it that day, because that's not Stephan's modus operandi. I expected him to do it the next day. So then I didn't hear from him until he called me at 4:54.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where was he at 4:54? At 4:36 p.m., Stephan was throwing more items away in the dumpster. So every time he's like going to the dumpster, he's like, ooh, dumpster, call dad. Dumpster time, call dad. Like, what the hell, man? Oh my goodness. Also, this body cam that I'm just playing on the side there, again, I'm just trying to keep it visually appealing, is of the cadaver dogs. And doesn't this question bug you guys? I mean, the croc will forever bug me. That's in Jen's room. One of Maddie's crocs. One. The other one in the trash. Like, what's that all about? And then also the cadaver dog reacted to Jen's car. Not Stephan's. Like, Jen's car was the final place they were like, this car, right here, the cadaver dog, right? So, and he took Jen's car back out to that St. Cloud area. He also went to Northport, which is, as I say, 2.5 hours away, and apparently went to that storage unit. Initially, there were documents we'd read where they said, oh, he probably didn't go there. But then we hear from this interview and from the documents we read yesterday, but then the dad did find one of Stephan Sterns' hard drives in the storeroom, and he said, well, then he must have accessed it. So, what do you think? I don't know, it could be a very sinister answer. Please try to censor it, okay? What do you think? Why do you think there were signs of decomposition that the cadaver dogs picked up on Jenn Soto's car? Because he was out there and put Maddie's body somewhere, got a flat tire right there, okay, right there where her body was, right? And then he changed the tire and then he drove back. So we know that. But then that night he went out cruising, remember? Oh my word. And so that night he went back to the area. What was he doing? I wonder if it was like he thought, oh crap, he had to do things so quickly that he just went to check on everything again. Or if he was going there to then cover Maddie's body with hay and branches, which he did. I don't know if he had time for that at the time, because this was now nighttime when he went back there, right? Early morning hours. Oh my word, but that's quite a scary thought as well. Robin says, I challenge all to try subscribing to enjoy awesome perks. Member-only live streams are a gas. Only one way to find out. Oh, you mean subscribing is free, and if you subscribe, you just click the button, you are a Grizzly. If you want to become a member, sure, you're welcome. Okay, let's keep going.
And that conversation lasted 3 minutes. And, as I said, I heard this story about him dropping her off at school and the whole abduction thing. And I heard that even more later in the evening. But I thought to myself, how strange these two events happened and within a short time of one another that afternoon.
Did you question him about it or no?
No, I didn't think about it. When the call came in, he starts telling me that this is just a thought I had. It's kind of strange that coincidence that there were two incidents like that in that afternoon.
Okay. So moving on, you spoke to him around 4-ish, and that's when he said Maddie's gone missing.
Yeah, we're close to 5.
Okay. And then you didn't speak to him again until the following day, is that
No,
correct?
I talked to him for 7 minutes at 6:02.
Okay.
6:02, and then again for 5 minutes at 6:22.
And is that just to get updates, or
Yeah.
what's the conversation you're having?
Well,
with him
it was
during
me
that time?
he called me at 6:02, and again, just briefing me, letting me know what's going on. There was an out call at 2 minutes at 6:18, and then another one at 6:22 for 5 minutes, and both of those I was making the calls. And then nothing again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there, and then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had.
Damn, 3-second call. What are you saying, 3 seconds? Skitty said, did Stephan have to take Maddie's body out of the car to get to the spare tire? I think so. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, Caroline said, I hate to think about the possibilities on his revisits to Maddie's body, especially because that ex-girlfriend said that he would only get turned on if she played dead. I really worry about all of that. I think this could be a lot darker than we think, because I also thought maybe he moved her body, or maybe he went back there to just make sure he covered her body up with hay and branches and things, as I say. But I don't know if he moved her body, because if he did, what a dumbass to move it around and still have it right there where he got a flat tire. That doesn't make sense, right? Like, why, but he's very dumb, so, okay, you know. We like to snark at criminals. If you're new here, it's what we do. We get snarky, okay? So, not a smart guy. I just wonder what was going on there. I'm going to show you some pictures as well. I'll just put it up now just to show you the markings that they found, I think after dusting it, of something. It smears on Jen's car. Okay, I'm going to show you that while we listen to this.
Even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's calling me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, do you have any reason not to? Mm-hmm. And he said, no. And I said, then give me your phone. Let's get this cleared up, you know. What really upset me was in one of the conversations I had with him when it became apparent that he was going to be a person of interest, I said, well, you had your phone. You can document where you've been. Mm-hmm. Well, I left my phone at home. Okay, let's backtrack. Were you anywhere that a camera could have caught you? Where'd you go? And it didn't sound like he went anywhere that a camera could track him in. So I said, well,
The vape store.
well, I understand that, but I'm not sure, you know, where a camera would have been.
So here's a picture of Jen's car, which Stephan used that next night, right? On the 26th was the whole driving around with Maddie's body, going to the dumpster several times, and then going to Jen's mother's place of business. And then the two of them did that, you know, like police, talking to the police and saying, you know, that she's missing and all of that and all the bullshit stories they had for the police. And then that night, he's like, I'm going around cruising to look for Maddie. And it turns out that there's cameras and a whole bunch of evidence that show that he actually went back out to that area. So, Miss Wee Lassie said, Grizzly to crime. He had to remove Maddie's body from the trunk to reach the spare tire. Hid her body quickly, had to use Jen's car later to go move Maddie to a safer place. And it could be. But it was also like so close to the road. And as we read, he would have had to throw her body over the barbed wire or through that gate. So he must have like snuck in there again the next day just to make sure that maybe he would have, I'm so sorry, these words are very hurtful to say. I feel it too, okay? But like, I don't know how else to say it. He would have had to drag her body, hide her further away behind that bamboo, right? And then he covered her body with hay and branches. So I think he would have taken more time to do that, to conceal her body. That's probably what he was there doing. Just hope that's all he was there doing. Sophie said, it'll be interesting to know when the tire was discovered by police. Was it damaged? Thank you, Giza, for this deep dive. They actually discovered it pretty quickly because he already had the spare tire on, okay, caught on camera like that. And they already saw that. And then when they went to ask him about the vehicles, he actually pointed at it and said, don't worry about that. I suffered a flat tire. And like, they were like, So he's like, don't look at that. Okay, look at everything else with the vehicle. And they're like, wow, let's look at that. So that, and then they also looked in that the dumpster. They knew the trash would be collected on Wednesday. And so they actually acted very quickly because they saw Stephan on camera at the complex going to that dumpster several times. And so they could actually see him throwing away that tire in the dumpster in one of those trips. That's the other thing we know. The backpack, the crock, in a plastic bag, looks like it's covered with paint or something. And so another time was that spare tire. Oh, sorry, the actual tire that he had to change. So they knew very quickly about that. Okay, let's keep going.
But, thinking he was innocent, trying to help, pinpoint where he was so he could document his whereabouts, because of my understanding there was a 2 hour gap between when he supposedly dropped her off and then when he returned home, because he said he called Jenn at 10:17. And
so you guys were asking earlier, someone asked, was this interview conducted at their home? Sound like it with all the dogs there, right? They didn't really specify, but it does sound like there's a lot of dogs in the background, so I would think so. Welcome to all the new members. Go check out the members only playlist. We just had a member stream yesterday. You want to probably catch that replay. Dulcie said, I heard on an interview the gate was left open by the owner. I heard the same initially, but then in this new information we've received, this was now a full police report from the Kissimmee Police Department. They actually said that the gate was not open and that Stephan would have had to throw Maddie's body over the barbed wire or over the gate. That was very shocking to hear as well. So we've learned some new information compared to things we knew before, which obviously makes sense. The more information that comes out, the more the police share, the more we learn, right? But I also remember that about, the gate was open and that the farmer said that he left it open sometimes and he felt bad about it. I remember that. So that could still be true. However, at the time then when the police were writing this report, which has now been released, they said, well, it was closed and the lock did not seem tampered with. And so they say he must have thrown her body over. Oh my goodness. So, okay.
in matter of fact, my understanding why he called Jenn at 10:17 was to get back into the community because she had to call him in. He didn't have his clicker.
Okay. Is he tech savvy?
My impression, no, but I'm hearing, hearsay from other people that he may have been, but when he told me that he was doing a OS update on his phone and it accidentally wiped out his phone, I cried bullshit. But there's always that one off. It could be, but when he starts saying, I accidentally pressed the button to reset it, then I knew it was bullshit. That's not in the process of an OS update. You just say, yes, go ahead and do it, and you leave it alone, and it updates and it'll let you know that your phone's been updated. End of story. None of this other bullshit.
Do you pay for his phone, or does he pay for his phone?
I pay for it.
Did you want this coffee?
Yeah, would you put some cream in it? Blonde like you, and duke it in the microwave for 38 seconds.
How did you get to Kissimmee? Like, what made you go to Kissimmee?
Okay, so I got a call. At 9:30, and then I think that's when that discussion took place about whether to give this phone to the police or not. I said, you haven't got any issue with it, give him the phone. Give him the phone. And then I got a call, and then I went to bed. I was 10 or something. I'm all tucked into bed. I got the boys with me, and I may have been partially asleep because I had my phone on silent, and then I woke up because the phone was vibrating, and then my watch would have been in the office. So the phone was vibrating. By the time I got it, there was no connect. So then that was at 10:42, and then I made an out call at 10:43, and then the conversation was about, you need to come up here.
And who says that?
They both did because they were on speaker.
Okay.
And Stephan.
Interesting. We're going to listen to more of that in a moment. Miss Wheelassie says you have to drive a distance on a flat to rip it apart, which we know he did, and we saw the pictures of that, right? Been there, done it, you say. Maddie could have been decamped further up the road initially, returned in gens to move further along. I mean, it could be. Could be. That's what I thought initially, because I remember, if you guys remember, we were watching it live, right? the police initially and the choppers and the drones and everything swarmed to an area, and they were like kind of over this abandoned house. That's what it looked like this abandoned house on the side of the road, really close to where that farm gate was, where Maddie's body was found. And I was a bit confused because I was trying to find that on the map, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably where. And then it was a little bit further along, and I'm like, oh. So maybe you're right, Miss Wee Lassie, maybe. Maybe that's what he did. Oh my goodness. Brenda says cop dad knows he's full of it. Now, where does that come from? Because I can't remember that Stephan Sterns' dad is a former police officer. I don't remember what the source of that was. If you know, please tell me, because I didn't see it in any of the documents, right? It sounds like vaguely familiar, but I just can't remember what the source is. So if I don't see your comment now, please email me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com, or if you know that information, that would be interesting. I would like to know, because he does sound like, he's like got his timelines. he does sound cop-like, right? Wow. Okay, imagine having a son like that. Oh my goodness.
And said, hey, you need to come up here. And I said, okay. I said, so we discussed, they were being kicked out. They didn't have a place to stay. So I said, well, we need to figure out where to go for, where to stay and what have you. And so I'm jumping in the shower, packing a bag, talking to Dad, making plans to leave, which I did it just after midnight. I tried to make a call to them at 11:56. It went to voicemail, and then I called her back at, now we're into Wednesday, so I called her back at 12 to let them know I was on my way. And then I also called my wife, because when I left, the front door, if you notice, has an electronic keypad on it. That's why I think it's great.
No. Okay. Thank you.
It wasn't working, and it's been it's electronic, and it's batteries in there since the day we moved here, so 4 years old. So when I tried to lock it, it's not flashing or anything. I did get it to lock, but I wanted her to know that, hey, if you go out, you're going to have to come back in through the garage door, and the only way to do that if you had a clicker in your remote in your visor. But you.
Sorry to interrupt again. Johnny said he's definitely deep dived the case very quickly. And Robin Kilgore says, I live off the I-4 about 20 minutes away. The farmer said he will forever carry that burden from not locking the gate for 2 days. Oh my word. So maybe after that it was locked, right? And maybe that's why the police are writing it down, because that was definitely in the latest police reports that we read, that they said, well, there was a lock on the gate and it didn't seem tampered with, so he must have. Ooh, so the gate was open. Okay. So, oh my goodness. True Crime with Strategic Eyes is here. You said he says that he's a cop in his interview and tells officers cop stories when he was making car stuff. I don't know why that didn't hit me. Like today when someone said it, I'm like, what? What? But then again, I could listen to these interviews 10 times, and each time you pick up something different, right? Let's not do that together. 10 times. But listen to it on the replays, and if you guys pick up anything, please send it to me. Thank you. True Crime with Strategic Eyes. It's always nice to see you in chat. Okay, let's keep going. We're 43 minutes in, so we've still got an hour to go, okay?
We're going to be able to get in through the front door. And then I got a call from them at 1:18, lasted for 2 minutes, and then at 1:51, 50 seconds, because I arrived at the hotel.
What were the conversation at the 118 area? What was that conversation about?
Just confirmation of where they were and where we were staying, and the address of the hotel, because it was out off west of Disney off the 429.
I'm going to try not to interrupt now for a little while. Anonymous, thank you so much. You said appreciate Grizzly True Crime for the transparency and great coverage as always. I also wanted to say, I think the dad is referring to a call log, right? I think he just looked at it like literally his phone's call log. So I think it's all from memory, or I don't think he was scribbling it all down at the time. You never know. Maybe he was really red flagging his son. But I think that's why it's so detailed, so accurate, right? Okay, so let's listen a little bit longer with less interruption.
And from what I understand, did you pay for the hotel, or did they pay for it?
They paid for theirs, and I paid for mine, but then it said a pet-friendly hotel, pet-friendly if you pay $150 for the night. Okay, so, all right. So I paid for the dog to stay.
Okay, their dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually reimbursed her for it.
All right, and when you got to the hotel, you had conversations with Jenn and Stephan, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we were just greeting, gave Stephan a hug and, chit-chatted for a few minutes. I was busy checking in because they had already completed their check-in. They went up to their room. They were on the opposite end of me, but we were on the same floor. I went out to the car to, park my car, get my stuff and bring it in and go to my room. And then I went to their room, spent about 10 minutes with him, no more than 15, and then I was heading back to my room to go to bed.
What were the conversations when you were in their room?
I don't really recall. It was just everybody settled in, everybody okay. We'll just meet in the morning and see what unfolds at that time. I'm sure there was going to be some more interviews or what have you. Mm-hmm. I planned to go to the office. Our corporate office is in Orlando, so I planned to go. Mm-hmm. So I was up 6:30, 7 or so. 6:30. Then I left the hotel around 7:30 to go to the office.
Okay. When you left to go to the office, was Stephan and Jenn still there?
As far as I know, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I come to find out later when I get a phone call from Jenn.
So when the cop says Stephan, he means Stephan, okay?
Around 10 o'clock, 9:48 or so, I think it was. 9:49, she called me. It lasted for about a minute to ask me if Stephan was with me. Mm-hmm. I go, no. Well, he's not here. How long has he been gone? Maybe 25 minutes. I said, okay, well, all right, maybe he's out running around, whatever. So then I get a call from her about at 10:17. Mm-hmm. Don't recall what that conversation was about. Then there was another call, 10:47, and I think, matter of fact, I try to recall what time we talked about his not being there, and then I called back and said, I told her, I said, go down to the lobby. If he was gone for 25 minutes, go down to the lobby. Maybe he's down there. Mm-hmm. Seemed logical. And then after I hung up, I called her back and said, are your car keys there? And she said, no. I said, okay, interesting.
The dad's like, okay, interesting. But why does Jenn not notice that? Like, are your car keys there? No. But then she also has no idea where he is. I mean, like, just put the two together, right? Brenda says, detective told Jenn dad was an ex-cop. Okay. I should pay more attention to those little details as well. I'm like obsessed with like timeline. I'm always listening. Oh, wait, who did what at what time? Where? Huh? And then I miss some things. Thank you so much. True Crime with Strategic Guy said, it's always my pleasure to support Grizzly. She's incredibly informative and my inspiration to do... What? Oh my word. Thank you so much. And you're doing so well. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
So then I get a call back from her later and saying that the detective had called and said they were going to come over within the hour to visit with them. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I left the office and drove over there and thinking, well, he's going to be in a world of hurt if he's not there when they come back because they'll probably put a bolo out on him and then just decide to arrest him because he's wandering around. What's he doing? Mm-hmm. So
when you got back, was he there?
No, he didn't show up for another 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. And then do you know if Jenn's car has a GPS in it? Nav system?
It does, yes.
Okay, well, that's part of his lie. So, he came back in and said, well, I got lost in the back roads of Disney, no GPS and what have you. And I didn't think about this till later. I thought, wait a minute, Jenn's got a newer car. Most of them have a GPS system in it. So because he didn't have a phone, and obviously he didn't have hers, he was trying to wind his way back to the hotel, but couldn't because he didn't have a GPS when in fact he did have a GPS.
Now there was talks of that he may have came here that morning.
Well, so when I finally got in to see Alex Wednesday evening, he said, what exit do you get off at when you come back to Northport? Tested my exit numbers and I said, I think it's 179, Toledo Blade. And he said, did you know that Stephan was in Northport at 7:45 that morning? I said, really? No, I didn't. Then I later learned it was really 6:30ish, which meant that, and I had my timeline all screwed up. I thought they departed their room at 3:30 when in fact it was more like 2:30. So I was thinking, gosh, I just went to bed and then he turned around and got out of there and went down to Northport. But when I learned about that, I couldn't imagine why. And then Alex is telling me, well, we have information that he went to your storage unit. So that led us down a rat hole, and then I found out that was completely wrong. That access storage facility had been accessed for 2 weeks, And that was me going to put the lock back on that I had incorrectly relocked my unit 2 weeks ago, now almost 3 weeks ago. So that was wrong. The time of his entering Northport was wrong. It was really an hour earlier, hour and 15 minutes earlier, and he never...
The dad's figuring it out, that whole timeline, exactly where he was. Susan says, have you heard the police interviewing Maddie's friends? Of course, yes. When I got the file, I listened to everything I possibly could, as you know, but I'm not going to play that as is. I think there's certain things in the files, there's a responsibility when one receives FOIA files. I'll take you back to the Letitia Stout case. Do you remember what happened when the FOIA file got into some YouTuber's hands who decided it would be a great idea to sell autopsy photos on Patreon, right? Remember that? Yeah. So sometimes you receive things that you yourself have to know that rather don't share that, right? And Maddie's friends are minors, and yes, they redact their names, but I'm not going to be playing shame, the young voices talking about their friend just being missing, and now later, obviously, they would have realized she was murdered. I mean, it's too much. I would never want to, I don't want to contribute, right, to their sadness, trauma, grief, as much as they lost their friend. I'm not going to put their little voices on the internet. Hell no. And also, there's drawings that Maddie made in her notebooks, which are sexually graphic drawings, which tells us she was awake, you know, and aware of a lot of the abuse that she suffered, right? I'm never going to show that. I don't think one should show that. So I'm going to show those. I described it to you yesterday. I'm also not going to show Stephan Sterns' naked body. Oh, hell no. I think that will shut a channel down. YouTube's also got their rules. But like, I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to play the friends' interviews. We've already gone over what exactly the friends said in the 896-page document. Part 1, 2, and 3. I think we spoke about the friends in part 3. They told us what they said on police reports, right? We also went over some of that in some of the latest police report we've just went over yesterday and the day before. So what I will do is re-listen to it. And if I hear anything new, anything interesting that I can share with you, I will do that. Then I'll make a presentation and we'll go over everything that they said. But I'm not going to put those poor little girls through that. Oh my word. No. That as well. And obviously I'm not going to show Maddie's panties with stains on it, like all zoomed in. Like, no, man. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. This is not the place for that. If you're looking for that, I'm sure there's places you can go for that. I'm not going to do that. Okay. So, all right. Same as in trials. I don't show graphic pictures. Some people don't like it. It's just what I do. I'm here for victims and their families, right? Okay. So now we're at 48 minutes, almost 49. Let's keep going.
Everyone accessed the storage unit. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, he must have been really disappointed if he was coming to this house because he couldn't get in the front door and that door was locked. And he knew that that if he came in, chances are he would put the dogs on high alert and set them off, which would have got her up. And I asked her, I said, what would you have done if Stephan was standing in the middle of the house and you weren't expecting him? It's like, what are you doing here? And God knows what would have taken place at that point and why he was here.
Dad? Why are you here? You know, I thought
why did I go to Orlando? Because I can tell you the amount of time I spent with him accurately. 3 occasions was a total of 30, 35 minutes. It's the amount of time that I had spent with him. Because when he got back to that hotel room, the both of them went back to bed and they slept. And there was no waking the dead. And up until 2 o'clock, I'm trying to get him to eat something. Jenn and I went down and had some lunch, but I have no idea why he was here, other than to get in the house to get something, maybe try to steal some money from me, maybe steal something of value.
But later his mom found a doll torso. What? Remember we went over that? In his room and she was freaking out. We heard that too. What in the hell was Stephan dropping off at home that night? It sounds very scary.
Sell it, what have you? I have no idea.
So when you on Tuesday when he eventually made it back to the hotel, you're saying you and Jen went to go eat, but Stephan didn't want to go? Or?
No, you couldn't wake him up. He was out of it, dead to the world.
Okay. Now I was told by Northport PD when they came and talked to, I'm assuming you one night, that you may have mentioned the dogs barking sometime throughout the night.
They went on high alert and I looked at my watch because I was in here alone. 3:19 in the morning, I had all 5 of them sleeping with me since he wasn't here to sleep with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
They all went from dead asleep to springing up in the air and standing on all 4 feet, all of them looking at my window and giving the war bark. That's not a war bark. That's a wolf.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's a sound that will make your skin
Wake to death.
goosebumps. And I didn't have the gun in my room. I don't usually keep it in there.
Of course, it could have been someone else, but imagine if being this afraid of like, oh my word, could it have been Stephan? Like, I don't know. Someone said it in the chat now, it just flew by. Sorry, there's a lot of people here. Welcome, everyone. So some people are saying it's like a little bit red flaggish. How they're like, ooh, like, okay, make sure the doors are locked, that he's not like coming in. What is he going to do there? What would he have been doing there? Remember, Madeline's body was discovered on March 1st. This interview took place on March 6th. So they would have already known that, and they would have already known their son was arrested on February 28th and charged with those CSAM charges. It actually took until April, somewhere mid or end of April, to charge him with the murder of Madeline Soto. It took long. Susan said, thank you for not showing those things. Can we at least discuss them? We have discussed it before when we read the 896-page document. It's on the playlist. It's called Part 1, 2, and 3. It was some other deep dive we did. Okay, it's very clear on the thumbnails as well because we learned a lot there. And they actually transcribed some of, not fully, not word for word, but they summarized, okay, everything that each friend said. And it was very interesting to learn about, like Madeline Soto having an inhaler because she suffered from asthma. That's what a friend said. And we were like, what? Also, yesterday we went over what one of her friends said, that she had a meltdown, that they said, Madeline texted her and she said, I'm having a meltdown, please help me, on Saturday. Which is interesting, thinking that Stephan Sterns on Saturday, after speaking, or maybe before, I don't know if it was after speaking to Maddie, at some point, Debra says that Maddie called Stephan. And then at some point, Stephan, he himself was having a panic. He was looking for anxiety meds, and they said it looked like something was very worrisome. Something was really troubling him. And then Maddie's texting her friends saying she's having a meltdown and needs help, right? So we've actually heard a lot already. I don't think there's anything new from what I've listened to already, but if there is, I'll listen to it again. If there's anything new, I will share it with you and we will discuss it, okay? We could even do another round of it, of discussing what the friends said. So don't worry. But if you haven't ever heard it, it's on the playlist. All right, so here we go.
I had to come and look for a flashlight. I let all the dogs out here. And then I did not unlock the security lock on the door. I just took the flashlight and went like this to see if there was a critter in the yard. Mm-hmm. We have bobcats, we have all kinds of stuff out here, so. Didn't see anything in the yard. Didn't see anything out the front. Went and looked through the office window. Didn't see anything out there. So didn't see a car. I thought, okay, well, we must have had a critter, and I just missed it. Mm-hmm. They dig holes and come under the fence and drive the dogs nuts. Rabbits especially. We had one last night.
And you're saying your code to the storage facility was not used on that Tuesday?
No, the storage unit, Northport Police told me was, they misread it, but they said the last access, because I didn't think Stephan had my access code unless when we were there in December, he decided to memorize it. Mm-hmm. And I keep it in my contacts, because obviously I don't use it that often. I'm not going to commit to memory. But I was there 2 weeks ago because they called me up and said, hey, we're doing an audit. We got an audit that's going to happen, and we check all the units, and you didn't lock your unit properly. So, it's a slided over, bolted, and then it's got 2 holes. You drop your padlock in there and lock it. Well, apparently I locked it on the outside. I didn't think I did, but anyway, I must have. So I went over there the next day and properly locked it. So,
any reason why he would come here? Does he have any other friends or close people that he would?
Well, he has a limited number of friends. I don't know, maybe he was going to hook up with one of them, Frank being one of them. It's the one I know that he's...
And yesterday we also read what Frank, the friend, had said, okay? CPS, oh my goodness, thank you so much for your $50 sticker. You said notices a bunch of Nobu stuff in pictures of Maddie's room. I wonder if Stephan Sterns gave her the present mom provided. I wonder as well, yes.
It is closely associated with him when he goes out. It's with him, and we haven't heard of anybody else that he's socializing with, so I'm assuming he would have gone out with Frank. But other than just gaining access to this house, and there's no way he would have broken in here, because Impact Windows not going to do that. and the front door not working, so he would screw blue tattoo. I checked the car, after the Northport police left to see if there was any marks on the door to see if he had tried to pry the car open, but nope, I didn't see any marks on it. So I guess he was here for an hour and 15 minutes or so before he had to make tracks to get back to Orlando, but have no idea what he did for that amount of time. Maybe he came down here thinking he would throw the police off. If they obviously found a way to track him or something, maybe they said, well, he disposed of the body or disposed of something down here, but have no idea. Other than just coming here and stealing something from us.
You don't know if he has his own credit cards or anything like that, do you?
He has one, maybe two credit cards at best that are his, and nothing else.
Okay.
I don't think he may have. I gave him access to a second Chase account that I set up for him, but it hasn't been used for whatever time. So if he has that.
Isn't that so crazy how the parents are like setting up his bank accounts? Like he doesn't sound like 37, right? Stephan Sterns does not sound like a 37-year-old man. Oh my word, like I try not to laugh. It's just like, what? Like helped him set up that bank account. Okay. Well, yeah, because he wasn't really working. That we get. Someone was saying, can you please just stop interrupting G? See, that's the thing. I cannot make everyone happy. What I do is I make commentary here. That's why usually, there's like over 8,000 people here. You guys have been here for the last 3 days or so. So many people, thank you all for being here. And you keep saying you want to hear my commentary. You don't want me to just sit here and listen, right? If you want that, I know that there's some channels that have just posted the audio so you can listen to it there. But the other thing is I do plan to make you a case file eventually. We first want to work through everything where you could just listen to it all yourself, like the Jenn Soto one. Right now, we're talking about it as a community, and I'm very sorry to the people that it annoys, but unfortunately, you're the minority. Most people want me to talk, and then people get upset if I don't. So I have to go with that. I try my very best to keep everyone happy, but you just can't. You just can't. Okay, 54 minutes. Let's go.
It doesn't have any money in the account, so other than that, that's the only thing I would know he had. I gave him. He would have use of the gas card, but I made him fill it up and give me the card back, so he didn't have use of that.
Okay. What banks does he have? Chase and.
Well, he has a second account that I set up, but he has his own account with Disney Partners.
Credit union or something.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have any access to that, so I don't know what he's got in there, what he does.
Have you looked to see if there was any phone activity on your account that you pay for anytime during that Monday, Tuesday area?
I didn't look at his account. To answer your question, no. But then a Wednesday, since he didn't have his phone, I had a spare phone that I used for business, which I think you guys have, iPhone mini, and I said, here, use this until you get your phone back. Again, thinking everything's innocent and what have you. And so I gave that to him around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon and said, use this. And then we went downstairs and met with the detectives, and then they were escorted away. And then the last time I saw the phone, other than him calling me to tell me that the detective said when they pull into the Orange County Operations Center, they're going to go straight back. And I go, oh, okay. And I'm to go to the left and park out in front of the main building. We're going there for the press conference. And then I get there, and then I'm expecting to meet up with Jenn and Stephan to go up to the press conference. And then when trying to reach them, Stephan's phone is dead at this point. It's turned off. Finally, Jenn responds to me, and they said they're making arrangements. Go inside, you'll get a pass. They'll take you upstairs to the press conference. So by the time I got up there, it was over, and now I'm just trying to. Where is everybody? But the only call that came in, because I wiped out everything that I could think of to wipe out. Because if he's going to have access to that phone, like I've got my contacts in there where I put all my passwords and username and passwords. I know that's stored in passwords, but I want quick access to it or something, whatever relevant information.
And then baby boy was arrested already on February 28th because of just the evidence they found on his phone after he had tried to Well, he said he accidentally, but factory reset his phone twice. Okay, oh my goodness. YouTube bad actor said, thank you for showing the respect that another channel with visor wearing creator. I don't know who that is. Okay, did not show concerning Madeline. Oh, that's so sad. Why are people showing it? That's so sad. Thank you so much for your sticker. Okay, let's keep going. The dad, wow. That press conference, remember how Jen was like, are we going to make it on time? Are we all going to be there together? Oh, you're going to be at that press conference, and then Stephan Sterns is getting arrested very shortly after that, right? Okay, so let's keep going here.
What are you going to do?
No.
No, just
stay.
Yeah,
Stay.
just tell me quiet.
That'd be all
So,
right for you.
and then anything else that would have been confidential that I didn't want to have access to, I deleted off of there. Because again, I only expected them to use it for a short time, because the police said in the lobby, hey, we're going to give your phone back, we're going to give your car back. Well, I knew what that was about. They're going to escort him without handcuffing and what have you. They wanted him to be comfortable, what have you. So I didn't expect to lose my iPhone as a result of that.
Which you should be able to get that iPhone back, but I'll double check and let you know.
Well, I was going to
The
ask you
second-
that.
yeah.
Because I asked Alec about it. He said, well, it's being transferred to Kissimmee. And I said, well, this is going to be a slow process. So anyway.
No, we should be able to get you the iPhone back.
Yeah.
His other phone, no.
Oh, no, I would expect that, no.
What about the car?
The card, no.
Yeah, we already know that. Yeah, I've already kissed that goodbye.
Okay.
We use that as a poodle ambulance.
Yes.
Right.
A poodle ambulance. It might make sense with some of the dog leashes we saw. We looked at some of those pictures yesterday. So that's probably why it's the poodle ambulance. Okay, but it's like, yeah, no, he was going to kiss that car goodbye. Like, oh dear. Yeah. It's probably still with the police now. Okay. So, sorry, let's keep going here. We had 58 minutes now.
Okay.
The silver car, because the dogs go to the vet, or if they have some surgeries, or the puppies or what have you, the back seat, could be smeared with puke, blood, and what else, but we call it the poodle ambulance.
When you gave Stephen this car to go to Kissimmee, clean inside?
No. It's the poodle ambulance. We're not going to have that car detailed, and then if he's using it, and of course, Debbie had a bunch of her stuff in it, but no, that car was not clean.
Okay.
And I said, well, if forensics is going to go over that, I mean, I tried to tell somebody, I said, it's a poodle ambulance. There's going to be some leftover puke or blood or what have you that we weren't able to get out of the seats because they're perforated. So I hope somebody doesn't get too excited when they hit on something, but it's animal blood as far as I knew.
Oh,
Okay.
Interesting. Animal blood. Okay. Because there's all that weird, there's like blood marks, what seems like in the car. Okay, so Anita, I missed your sticker there. I can see it behind the scenes here. You said, did law enforcement see Stephan Sterns on camera moving Maddie's body to the trunk? Yes. Yes, they did. He went to a holiday rental headquarters building and he drove to the second floor and there were cameras there. Like this guy. I mean, he went to the dumpster at the complex where Jen was staying and there were cameras right there. Like he could literally see the cameras and he was just there throwing things away all day. Quite arrogant, don't you think? I don't know if it's dumb or arrogant. It could be a bit both. I say that because he probably thought, the trash will be collected on Wednesday. And by the time they even find, if they find Maddie's body, they won't find the other stuff. Well, they did very quickly, right? Within 2 days. And yes, they did indeed. They have him on camera. They did not share that in this FOIA file, because certain things, I guess that's going to be for the trial, which is still the plan. In October, there's another hearing. I think it's on October 14th, if I'm not mistaken. We'll keep an eye on the dates because I know they change all the time. But yes, they have him on camera moving Maddie's body from the passenger seat to the trunk. Yes, indeed. That's so scary. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Tanya.
Have you talked to Stephen since he's been arrested?
No. We tried to set up a video visitation yesterday. It said we were confirmed. My iPad, my iPhone crashed a couple of times when I'm trying to get on, and then
we had
finally
solar
got it.
flares yesterday.
What?
They said we had 3 solar flares yesterday. Facebook went offline, and a lot of Verizon went off, and some other. And I thought, well, maybe that's what kicked us off yesterday.
But when I finally got on it, he wasn't there. So I I kind of expected that could have happened because, again, they gave me a warning. They said, if he's not available, he's not going to be available and won't be there. But I figured since I had confirmation, but I haven't had any conversation whatsoever.
Have you talked with Jenn since he's been arrested?
Last conversation, a text I had from her was when I asked her if she had gotten access back into the townhome, because if there was anything that Stephan had there, like supposedly he had his gun there, I wanted to get it out of there and away from harm and bring it back here where somebody else couldn't do anything with it. And I was making arrangements to do that, and she said yes, and then I didn't hear back from her after that, so she's gone dark on us.
Okay.
Has she lawyered up?
No.
No. Well, she's avoiding me for whatever reason, because up until that point.
Well, we have her phone.
Oh, you have her phone. Oh, okay.
So that may be one of the reasons that she's.
Well, if I'm sending you love notes, I'll be teasing. If I'm sending you messages, now I know why it's not going to answer. Because the last thing I got from her was, yes, she did, and then I sent her another message afterwards, trying to get some more information, and again, trying to make arrangements to get the gun out of there. Do you guys have the gun, or is it?
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, so
At least it's in
the
safe
one.
hands. What?
I'm sorry?
I said we'll never see that again either.
No, yeah, you definitely will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I'm just concerned that it's in safe hands. That's the only thing I was concerned about. I didn't want, because they have roommates there. I don't know who these people are. And somebody could take that, and I didn't want that to happen.
Have they ever talked about their roommates at all?
No.
No, we don't
even
know
know if there's sex. We don't even know if it's guys or girls.
Yeah.
Now, did Jenn ever talk to you about Sunday night after the party?
Regarding what?
Regarding the fact that there was probably drinking with the adults at the party, that she and Stephan would definitely have been vaping, that...
This mother is very, very upset about that vaping. Okay. Oh my word. It's just like that. Were they vaping, huh? Were they doing that outside or inside? Like, okay. What happened at the party? Because Jenn wasn't there and Stephan wasn't there. Okay. But Jenn had said, we read a police report yesterday. We read many. Okay, so if you missed yesterday's episode, everything's timestamped for you as well. So try to make it really easy for you to catch the replay so you can just go to parts that you missed, right? I try to highlight as much as I can, as many characters as I'm allowed to write. YouTube limits it to 5,000 characters in the description box, okay? So if you go there, we saw Jenn Soto told one of the police officers, yeah, Stephan went to the party. Like, wow. So remember, initially she was like, yep, she saw Madeline get dressed that morning. Yes, she did. No, you didn't. And she said later, okay, no, I didn't. And she actually also said initially, yeah, he was at the party. He wasn't at the party. So don't worry, to Stephan's parents, he wasn't there and she wasn't there. Okay, because Stephan claims, Jenn actually said Stephan was at the party and he took Madeline back to the house. But then we later found out, oh no, it was actually Jen's sister that took Maddie home. Oh my word. Thank you, every 26 seconds.
Her meds were not working, and Sunday night when she went to bed with Maddie and Stephan was in Maddie's room to sleep, that she woke up with a headache, and she told Maddie, and she told us, she told Maddie to go sleep with Stephan in her room. And
in her room or his room?
And when
his room.
Okay.
He was sleeping in Maddie's room, and she said him, she specifically said, because she told her, she says, I told her to go sleep with Stephan. And I was like the antenna popped up, and I said, what a stupid thing to do. Why would you do that? You've got plenty of room on your bed. Why would you send Maddie in there to go on a single bed with Stephan? It didn't make sense to me.
Do you know if they've ever talked about that in the past, that they would allow Maddie and Stephan to sleep in the same room together, or the three of them sleep in the same bed?
Heard of that. That was the first time I'd heard of that. But when she started talking about Maddie coming and sleeping with them at night, climbing in bed with them at night, and then Maddie told me, that's where she told me, she says, yeah, I was sleeping with Mom and Dad, and I rolled over, and I ended up with my leg over Stephan's leg, and she giggled about it, and I was like going, that was the second time. I said, and I told Jen, I said, listen, she's getting too old to do this. She's too old to share a bed with you. Don't do it anymore. I said, if you have to lock your bedroom door so she can't come in when you guys are asleep, then you need to do that. I said, I can understand a toddler. I can understand it up until about 5 years old. But after that, I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's all bad. Shame. Oh my goodness. And if she knew, in hindsight, that her son had been abusing Maddie since she was like 8 years old. Oh my word. Yeah, never would have been okay. Never. And I don't know, would Maddie have said mom and dad? I don't know. I've never heard anyone else say that Maddie referred to Stephan as dad. Have you heard that? Do you remember that? I don't. That's hectic. But that's another story now. That's a different angle now of saying, no, that Jenn said she woke up with a headache and then she sent them off to sleep. Oh, interesting. Because she only got home at 10:30. Then apparently they watched Sister Act and around 11 sent them upstairs. So at what point is Jenn like falling asleep or waking up with a headache and then saying, I don't know. Very interesting. Mary said, I think the cadaver dogs picked up the odor transfer in Jenn's car because of Sterns handling Maddie's body. It could be that. Ooh, oh my goodness. Yeah, and you guys are like, victim blaming. Yeah, sounds like, this sounds hectic. Oh my goodness, what an interview.
So I was very upset about that, and that's one of the other reasons we wanted him home. I just wanted him out of that environment.
I want to go back to the medication that Stephan. So Stephan on Saturday asked you if you had any of medicine to calm his anxiety.
Right.
Did he have prescription medication that just wasn't filled, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't have any medicine to take to Kissimmee?
No, not that we're aware of. And one of the things I was pressing hard with Stephan when he left Disney, I said, talk to Human Resources to get your insurance coverage after you leave, because you need it for prescriptions. And so up until 2 weeks ago, I'm assuming he had enough medication to get him through, but he needed some medication, so we're trying to get him back on insurance, which I did. And then there was a waiting period of a few days that we were supposed to call in and then arrange to get his prescription filled. He contacted the doctor, supposedly, because I told him to, and there would have been a prescription waiting for him, but it never got filled.
Gotcha. Okay.
When did he start taking prescription medication? Do you remember?
He started taking Adderall when he was a child. I mean, he has a TBI, and so he was on an IEP through school, individual education program. He went to special classes. He was hit by a truck when he was 8, hit in the back of the head with the bumper, run over his torso, and then the guy heard everybody screaming, put the car in drive and drove back over him, got him in the front of the head. And then, so he...
Well, how long has he been seeing the psychologist?
The counselor there?
Yeah, counselor.
About 4 years.
So she was prescribing medications for him at least 4 or 5 years ago, whenever he started going to counseling.
So when you last saw him on Saturday and he's having this episode, the next time you see him is Tuesday night, going into Wednesday?
Wednesday morning, 2:15.
Early in the morning.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Change in his demeanor, I'm assuming, was different?
Just very stoic, no emotions. Again, I'm attributing to maybe medication he's taking and the fact that...
Where would he get that medication? From Jenn, if he was going to take it?
Yeah, in fact, Jen said, don't worry about it, I have some meds here he could use.
Okay, and Stephan said in his interviews that he was zonked out on Ativan. That's what he said, because he just said that he was crying, and it all went downhill from there. Remember all the wording that he had that we've looked at before. We've gone over a lot in this case already for months, so go and check out the playlist, because I'm sure there's things there, like his police interview we listened to. I'm going to compare what I've received now to see if there's anything we haven't heard yet. Okay, if there's new ones that I've received, because we haven't obviously listened to him yet in this round of all the listening to these files, we'll meet again, and then we'll have to listen to that voice. Oh no, and him explaining things. But yes, also his parents are now talking about he has a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. Oh my goodness. So I don't know if that's where baby boy decided he's going to be a victim for the rest of his life. Because it seems like he's always the victim. Okay, and it's almost like his parents, or at least his mom, is like, he can do no wrong. Poor Stephan, right? And saying that no, Jenn was the one. She said she's got medication, but yet Stephan told friends that he was addicted to Adderall. The friend said that, right? What? Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Oh my goodness.
And then the fact that we're now looking at early Wednesday morning, now going back to 5 o'clock, well, actually even sooner than that, since he knew the true events. So from that Monday afternoon or sometime Monday all the way to Wednesday early morning, I don't know how much sleep he's had. I know he's been under a lot of pressure, obviously, from questioning and interviews and what have you. So I didn't expect to see much of him, much other than just being somewhat stoic, kind of zombie, out of it. That's when when I left him in his room, he was sitting in a chair. And matter of fact, I remember hearing a comment with Jenn when I was talking to him. They were driving over to the hotel. She's yelling at him to wake up because he was sleeping in the car. And when I left him in his room, sitting in that chair, he looked like a guy that was going to pass out. And to hear that he drove down to Northport and back shocks the shit out of me. Unbelievable. So, the guy was like out of it. And where he came up with all that energy to do that. And then when he comes back to the hotel room, he's got an energy drink, and then he immediately crawls into bed, and he is dead to the world. You can't wake him up. And
I'm going to use that expression. His dad's he's dead to the world. Yes, hopefully forgotten forever after justice is served for Madeline Soto. Wow. Okay.
It's like, all these hours and everything else finally caught up to him, but there was no waking him up. He was passed out.
Okay. Jeremy?
I seriously don't know what he would have done if he'd had access to the house. But what he didn't realize is that when Chris leaves, this house gets locked up like Fort Worth, like Fort Knox, whatever it is. But because I never locked that door because it's a pain in the butt to get it up into the security position. And Elliot dislocated my thumb, so not one of these dogs are ripped a tendon, so I'm right-handed, so it's even harder, but I did do that because, I don't know.
I do want to touch that. When Northport was here, apparently they were given a computer?
I gave him a computer.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there was a desktop computer sitting here, tower. And I told Alex, I said, hey, it's got a tower unit here, desktop. I said, you guys want it? And they said, yeah, we'll probably do that. And so, again, I reminded Northport Police that it was here, so I gave it to them.
Okay.
Do you know what Stephan's dominant hand is?
What is what?
Dominant hand?
Right.
Is right. A couple questions. I know you mentioned part of his childhood and having that traumatic car crash. What else was his childhood like? Did he have a pretty normal childhood? Did he have siblings? Only child?
Well, he has an older brother that was in the Navy, but
Oh, there we go. So you're not going to write this down. My brain is full. Okay, wait. Older brother was in the Navy. Ooh, okay. Was he in his brother's shadow a little bit? In the Navy. In the Navy, okay. Older brother in the Navy. And someone there earlier with that sticker was saying, I think it's in this interview actually, they've got multiple files. I'll still have to check the others to see if there's new stuff compared to what we have here. This one was from the Kissimmee Police Department, this 1 hour 44 interview. And so he says that Stephan was homeschooled and the mother pretty much did all his work. Like, what? Like, he didn't even earn his own high school diploma. The mother earned it for him. Oh, no. She was like, take the test and everything for him. What? Did he do anything himself? Anything at all? Oh, my word.
They're 11 years apart, so it's basically like having raised two single children.
Okay.
Because of the age separation and what have you, I mean, his older brother, they weren't very close because of the age difference. So his older brother was never around that much.
Okay.
Well, he joined the Navy right out of high school. He and a few of his friends, and they've done wonderful with their lives. But, yeah. No, he loves animals, always picking stuff up and bringing it home. Would not do a single chore around the farm when we had the farm.
Surprise, surprise.
Is he a clean
What?
type person? Or
No, Jesus, God, no. He's lived in a
Did he use the C word? Clean? No. It always a challenge to get him to pick up his room. Always.
I was going to surprise him and put a hazmat sticker across his door. Because.
But where's the parenting? It's just like, wow, look at that guy. He's so dirty and he refuses to do any chores. Okay, you're his parents, right? So when he was a child, although they say he got hit by the car when he was 8. So you see, since then, they're just like, oh, well, he could do whatever he wants. Like, what? Like, where's the discipline?
I opened it and looked at it and shut the door again and said, not going in there. So then I offered to help him clean his room. I said, look, it's hard when it's that bad to even know where to start. I said, I will help you.
You know, we tried to encourage him for sports. He played baseball. Like
he ran track.
But you know, he seemed fine as a kid growing up, and I don't know, maybe later this brain injury started.
He did not have very close friends. He had a couple of close friends and some acquaintances, but those were the only ones. And he took Shotokan karate with Brian. They got up to a brown belt.
How were his emotions as a kid?
Volatile, but also, I mean, even in kindergarten, before the accident, he didn't participate with the other kids a lot. He would rather go and make up his own game and do his own thing than that. He has a very high IQ. He's very intelligent, and I think that I was in college at the.
I would like to object, and in my own opinion, I would like to disagree. Very intelligent. Thinking people are going to believe all that. Oh, accidentally factory reset my phone twice. Yeah. I also forgot my phone at home, silly. Yeah. Running errands. What errands was he running that Monday when he had Madeline's body in the car? The errands he was running, he said, went to a couple of Targets. Who's going to believe that? Why are you going to a couple of Targets? What are you doing? And then like a comic book store. Like, intelligent. I don't know. And also you see that. She's like, the mom says, his room got so bad that it's really hard. It's really difficult then for him to be able to clean it up himself. So I helped. And that's why he did it. That's called enabling his bad behavior. That's why he wouldn't clean, because he's waiting for you to pick up his mess. Oh my word. Damn. Okay.
Trying to finish my degree, and I had all my books, oceanography and stuff like that, and he was interested. And when he was little, he was looking at my college textbooks, and I taught him to read. And he was reading at probably a 5th or 6th grade level when he went into 1st grade. Okay. He has a marvelous vocabulary. He has a great mind for history. If something interests him, he goes all in to research it.
So, yeah, if he's passionate about something, he will
put that
focus.
He becomes.
Oh, we know. He had a lot. 35,000 pictures of children. He was very passionate about that, CSAM. Very obsessed, right, with Madeline. Oh, man. It makes me so mad. It makes me mad, okay? It is like Chris Watts' mom talking about him, like. And I mean, they, at this point, March 6th, 2024, they already know their son was arrested and charged with like more than 60 counts of CSAM, child SA material. And that Maddie's body was found. And that he changed the tire, and that's how they found all of that. It's like, put it together. Like, how at this point, it's like, he's very intelligent. Now, it is interesting to hear background information. I always like hearing the psychology, the upbringing, the background of someone. I know it's coming from his parents. I just personally, just hold me back. I get snarky because I'm like, I don't want to hear that about Stephan. He's just so academic. He's so intelligent. He's so this, but he didn't even earn his own high school diploma, cannot keep a job, is abusing children and collecting. That's his collecting things. Yeah. Pictures of children. Like, what the hell? Oh, my word. It's terrible.
An expert.
He got became passionate about whiskeys. Ask him anything about whiskeys. Ask him anything about teas. I said, Steph, go to a liquor store, and if you got this much knowledge, put it to use. Then you get involved in these games and what have you. But boy, if he got focused on something, laser focus. And that really at an early age, because we came down from Georgia to Disney World, and he got the key to the liquor bar,
mini bar,
and he stayed there focused until he got that key and unlocked it at 3 years old. I mean, he was like that laser focused.
He didn't want liquor; he wanted candy.
Yeah. But he was
the expensive candy that's in those.
Well, he was very, very vocal with us that he wanted more candy because we bribed him with candy all the way down on the plane. We were waiting for the car to come.
You bribed him with candy, did you? Well, it turns out he bribed children with candy later. Careful, don't bribe children. Just discipline them, be their parent, don't be their friend, don't be their bestie. It doesn't mean just be like a army sergeant all the time. It just mean like just be. I'm only a mother of cats. Okay, I know that. I don't have children, but I did have parents. I've experienced that. Okay, so we've all had parents, right? We know generally what to do and what not to. Oh my word! And just like he was so clever, he opened that liquor cabinet. Oh no. This is difficult, guys. yeah. Sabs is like same candy habit. And even the way he wouldn't interact with any of the other kids in kindergarten, all that, doesn't he sound a little traumatized himself? A little red flag there, right? Where does his behavior come from? I'm not blaming the parents. I'm not looking at them. I'm not saying it. I'm just wondering. Did anyone ever abuse Stephan sexually? Ever? Anyone? It could have been a neighbor. Could have been a groomer in the community for all we know. I'm just saying, like, all of this is sounding red flaggy to me. Not like marvelous. Like the mom used the word marvelous. It doesn't sound marvelous to me. Sounding a little bit, obviously given the context and based on what he's accused of, right?
To get the car seat put in, jump seat for him. And I'm going to let you tell it because I started laughing.
So we're in the car, we're on the way to this dinner, and he's in the back seat wearing a sailor suit. And I want candy. No, Stephan, I'm looking at the rearview mirror. No, Stephan, you can't. We're on the way to dinner. Don't want to spoil dinner. I want candy. No, you can't have candy. And he goes, I looked in my rearview mirror, looked at her, and just started laughing. And I said, no candy. And so everybody's complimenting how cute he looks and what have you. So I got to tell you a cute story. He had obsessed with stuff sometimes, but
And I am loud. When I'm frustrated, I yell. I don't scream. Somebody told us that I'm a screamer. I don't scream, I yell. If they want to hear a scream, I'll show them a scream. But
she's Irish.
Yes.
Do not upset the Irish.
I am Irish. I have an Irish temper. I go from zero to below real quick. And I do yell. I do not beat. Do not abuse him physically, but I yelled. Most of the time I'd be yelling from one room to another, but...
Verbal abuse went a long way. What? Patricia Burns said, one is to demand high standards from their child and show them how to achieve high standards. Yeah. Of course, with nurturing, understanding, all of that, yes, indeed. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Citrus Bloom says they never gave him any boundaries. That's it. Teach kids healthy boundaries. Oh my word, he could just do whatever. He can even swear as loud as he wants, whenever, as a kid. Okay.
I yell.
A former DI in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And she tried that on me very early in our marriage, and I said, no, sorry, I'm not going to fall for that.
We made a pact when we got married, because we got married, we didn't know each other. We knew each other for 5 weeks on the phone. We met again at our 10-year high school reunion. Got married 6 weeks later. I was in California, he was in Georgia. Back then, the rates changed at 8 o'clock, my time, 11 o'clock his time, and he'd call me. So we did our courting on the phone, and he came, we got married, drove cross country in my 240Z to the gills.
240Z.
A lot of fun.
I fly out to California, she's got all these boxes piled up in the family room. I go, what's that? That's going with us. 240Z. I said, let me tell you what's going in there. Cases of Coors, because you can get Coors west of the Rockies, or east of the Rockies, and my golf clubs. But these boxes are not going to fit in that 240Z. It's just you, me, the beer, and the golf clubs. That's it. And we drove cross country in that thing.
Wow.
But anyway,
But
Oh, we digress.
Yeah,
So anyway.
he told me, he says, whatever you do to me, I'll go back to you. Because I slapped him once.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you want me to slap you back? I said, no. He said, then don't slap me. He said, so whatever you do to me, I'm going to do to you. So the next time I got mad, I dumped popcorn on his head.
Mm-hmm.
He picked up the bowl, some left, he dumped it on my head. I said, all right, I get it. I get it. I get it. And we have never...
Mm-hmm.
Like the cop is just like, like he chuckles along and talks along, but he's probably like, why are these people talking about their son as being cute and in a sailor outfit and just like him as a child and how ill-disciplined he was and had no boundaries and how cheeky he was and just throwing popcorn on his mom's head if she did it to him. It's a bit odd. It's a bit odd, all of this. Like, yeah, no wonder the mom said, rather just ask us questions. Otherwise, we're going to say things that are irrelevant to what you want to know. Yeah. I'd rather just ask questions because why is this being discussed? It's so weird given the situation. A 13-year-old girl who they knew and bought birthday gifts for and spent time with. Her body was found. Like 5 days before this. I mean, hello? What? Isn't that so scary? Oh, my word. Okay, we got half an hour left.
We don't fight like that anymore. We sit down and talk when we're calm enough to finally sit down and talk.
Right.
There's a lot of
We have
me
a
going in.
blow up,
would
5
say
minutes
this.
later it's over.
Yeah.
Forgotten about it.
No, there's no grudges held. But with him, it's you never know. It's like my mother. You never know when something's going to trigger him that reminds him of something he was mad at you before, and then he gets mad about that all over again. And she did too. I don't see any reason to do that, but.
Tell me about his relationships growing up as far as intimate. Do you guys know anything about those? Did he date much?
I know some. I know.
She would know more than me.
Okay. His first real love was Kendall, and that was in California. And that's
What age was that?
High school.
yeah.
High school?
Yeah.
Early high school, like freshman year.
Okay.
Yeah, 15, 16.
Yeah, and that was we loved Kendall, and Kendall loved him. He loved her. That was the only reason he didn't want to leave California, was because Kendall was going to be there. And
Were they the same age?
yes.
Yes.
And then when we came to Florida, there was just
Crazy girl.
other relationships that were just short, nothing.
Nothing long term.
Yeah, just cycled through a bunch of girls, and the guys he was hanging out with didn't approve of him because they just seemed like no motivation, no drive. I grew up with the, I grew up in Winter Park. I hung out with the elite people in Winter Park. The Showalters and the Manellos and what have you. I worked at the hardware store, Miller Hardware in Winter Park, and so, I had drive. I wanted to get ahead, and I associated with a better crowd of kids. He never did. I never approved them. They were just lazy, looking for the next party, looking for the next hit of marijuana. But so there was just a cycle of those people all the time. But nobody steady that they were aware of.
You could bargain with him. All of his friends were getting tattoos. Chase decided that they were all going to get branded with 521, their 521 club in Windermere. He has a brand on his side. They did it with coat hangers. And I said, if you promise not to get tattoos, then for your 18th birthday, I will take you to a tattoo parlor, and I will get you something that's meaningful. You don't want Dice or Popeye or something stupid that you're going to wear when you're 70. I said, what do you want? He said, I want the coat of arms. I said, I will do that for you. But you let me pick the tattoo parlor because I want to make sure they're clean, they're reputable, and I will pay for it. And he did. And he didn't get any other tattoos beyond that. It's on his right back shoulder. I said, and don't put it someplace where it's obvious.
I know you said that you didn't necessarily approve of some of these friendships, and then you
Yeah.
said he dated a crazy girl or one or two.
She was crazy.
Were there any inappropriate relationships with
Young?
females? Yeah.
No,
No.
Yeah.
never.
Did you ever see a change in what he was attracted to?
No.
No.
Well, I didn't even know
No.
what he was attracted to.
He was attracted to boobs.
Yeah, but I don't know what he was attracted
Okay, and children, just see the hard drives. Oh dear. Oh no. But like calling every girlfriend like crazy. That one was crazy. And Jen, she's like Jen is bipolar, bisexual, and a drug addict. Oh my word. Wow. Firstly, no one wants to date Stephan Sterns. I don't think so. Okay, but those who had the unfortunate experience of doing so, wow, his mother's like, they're crazy. Wow. Stephan's like, going to the tattoo parlor with your mom. It's a very cool thing to do when you're 18, right? Let's go, mom. It's time to get tattooed. Oh, my word. This is so hectic. Sure. Okay. I'm sure I could say a lot more, but I'm listening very intently. Oh, my goodness.
to.
Big boobs.
It was very. I can't recall other than one or two girls at our house, but there were groups of people when that was there. But I don't even know who he dated and per se. I mean, there was one girl that was a steady for a while, but other than that, I don't know who he dated because he dated outside the house and they didn't come to our house.
He didn't date, he had hookups.
Well, whatever.
And the thing is that the girls initiated them. They were calling him all the time. He wasn't calling them. And then
Sure. This mother, oh, that's like a... Luckily, he never got married, right? Did he get married? I don't think he's ever been married. It's like a monster-in-law. Oh, my word. She'll just hate the woman no matter what. Just like, they were calling him. He wasn't even calling them. Yeah, right. Because he's such a winner. You know, he'll just lie around, eat your food, abuse your child, and not contribute at all. And he'll only do chores like, whoa, after doing something very sinister, apparently. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Patricia says, I'm really close to my 27-year-old son, but I could not say what he's into when it comes to his love life. OMG. And she's like, big boobs. The way the mom is like, no, he's into boobs. Big ones. Like, okay. Whoa. Tone that down, lady. Damn. Okay.
his wingman Chase was laughing one day. He said, "Boy, I'm glad Stephan's my friend." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because he attracts all the girls and I get the ones he doesn't want."
What's Chase's last name?
Leonard.
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 Do you
Leonard.
Yeah,
Leonard.
Okay.
Leonard. Leonard.
He live around here, or
Oh, he lives. I don't know where he lives, but he
He
Lives
was
in Windermere.
Windermere.
oh, okay.
he was living in
Orlando.
Windermere.
He called into that awful website, Gray Hughes Investigations.
He called
on
into it.
YouTube. He called into it. People are calling into it, saying stuff about him I've never heard, never witnessed, never known, and I am being flayed, because, as I said, I'm a yeller, but I never did anything bad to that kid. I didn't do anything bad to any of them except save them.
We touched on
Save him. Oh my word. It's big red flags, right? You're just snarking at a YouTuber. He called into that awful show. Navy, is it Mom? Navy Mom 17 said, "You were awesome with Vinny P. Handsome guy too. Followed him a long time ago. Cool collab." That was a very cool collab. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you guys haven't seen that, it's linked in the description box, okay? Sure, my word. Okay, let's keep it. I pause as well so we could just process all this. I'm like, it's getting worse. This interview is very hectic.
Stephan and Jen's relationship.
Yep.
Tell us about Stephan and Maddie's relationship.
Maddie called him Dad. The last time that they were here, Stephan was sitting in this chair. Jen was here. Maddie was on that side, and she was leaning over with her arm around Stephan's shoulders and petting him with her hand, you know, because she was getting ready to go to sleep. So she came in to get her hugs and kisses goodnight from everybody. That's the I mean, he didn't really interact with her.
In front of you guys.
Right.
Right.
Yes, in front of you.
Did she act that way towards Jen too? That same time?
She came and got a hug and kiss from Jen too.
Okay.
She even gave, I think when I came into bed, she gave me a hug goodnight too. That was it.
Did you see any changes in Maddie over the years in her personality?
No, we were talking about that the other night. It's like there was nothing visible, noticeable about a change in her attitude, demeanor, what have you. And again, we hadn't seen Maddie since maybe early 23.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the same time Jen got her car, they came down for a night. Didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. Seemed like all the experiences that we had observed in the past. You know, happy kid, playing with the dogs, and either watching TV in there, going to bed, or floating around in here.
Did you know her to be on prescription medication?
No, I
No.
didn't know. No, not at that time. She was just starting it. That was something that was worrying Jen a lot. She was just starting to show
Some
the
of this-
bipolar, and they thought that was why she was becoming so combative with Jen.
I know you touched on it earlier, but you said Stephan didn't have that, to your knowledge, Stephan didn't have access to your storage unit.
No.
To my what?
To your
No,
knowledge.
to my storage unit. No,
Who all has access to it? Just you.
just me.
I don't
Okay.
even have a key to it.
And when I ask access, is it a code to get into the secured gate and then a padlock?
Yes,
Okay, and only you have those codes.
I have the code. It's in my phone as a contact record.
Mhm.
But as far as I know, he didn't have that code. Now I am missing a key and have been missing the second key for over a year. So when they first started telling me about he came down to access the unit, I started thinking, well, that explains where the other key is then. But I could have lost it, but I have no idea where the key is. And the only way to know whether or not anybody else accessed that is if the storage unit printed out it, and because I don't access it that often.
So I was here the morning that the storage unit was searched. Is there anything of like tremendous value in there? I know there's a bunch of bins and I see a few suitcases and stuff like that.
Yeah, just overflow from the garage.
Some Christmas
I was going to
decorations.
go over and look to see if anything had been moved, because I couldn't imagine Stephan going in there. There should have been a bunch of dog crates piled up, and it's packed, other than just a small section between the bulk stuff and the racks that I have there where I have access to.
On the right.
He did have some boxes of his stuff, but it
Yes,
was
but
like
it's
dishes
way
and
so
stuff.
far back that he would have to empty the whole storage unit out to get it.
Okay.
Back in the left-hand corner. I said, well, that's too much work. He wouldn't be willing to do that much work. Has a W in the word, he wouldn't do it.
Did you guys ever witness or hear him looking up inappropriate stuff on the internet?
I have no idea, because we never had access to his rooms.
He didn't use our computers. He had his own.
Obviously, his room is over here.
That
Do you
one.
mind if we look?
Yeah, you can look. It's a
for it.
mess.
Is it
I apologize in advance now for this picture on the right. I just wanted to put it there. It just fit the narrative right now. Like, oh no, he had his own computer. Didn't use ours.
is it the same way it was, pretty much?
No, we started cleaning it out
Cleaning.
because it's just he's existed in there. We haven't touched that room. At this point, he said, "Well, there's no way in hell he's ever coming back here. We're just going to gain access back to this
We
room and
gave
claim it as ours."
the other police complete access to it before we touched anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I had thrown away, the trash off of his big table, I had left there in a bag, and I said, "This is all I have done at this point, and if you want to go through the bag, you do it." You know,
So we're just getting rid of clothes and then trash that's in there, and then, like I said, it's going to take a while for us just to get in there and sort it out and figure out if there's anything of value that could be sold, and so, but it's pretty much the same mess that he left it in.
Okay.
That's all I have for now.
I got the floor.
The dogs are trying to tell on Stephan Sterns. Hey, we know. You just hear the dogs in the background. We want to tell.
Swept a little bit.
You mind if we take a picture of it when we go?
Oh, yeah, if you want to, go ahead.
Do you mind if I take a picture of your notepad? Of your notes?
Well, I'll just give you the notes.
Do you have more?
No.
You want to make a copy of them? In case somebody else wants to know the same information?
Oh, I can go do that. Okay to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have the original pictures of the room before I touched it, if you want to see those, or I can send you copies of it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let me give you my card. There's my card. If you want to email them to me, that'd probably be the easiest.
I took pictures because it was so disgusting. It'll take a while. I've got a week's worth of pictures on.
Yeah, no worries.
I do a lot of pictures. Do either of you like Trump?
I'd rather hold my opinion to myself, especially being on the record.
I'm not going to say it on the record. I was just going to show you something cute.
Can I make a personal observation?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Thank you.
What are you showing?
That is funny.
Oh, so when this thing came down Wednesday afternoon, we meet with the detectives and then personal escort and what have you, and then everything goes dark at 4 o'clock. 4:04, I get a text message. Finally, I get a text message from Jenn trying to figure out what the F is going on. And she texted me and said, "Get Stephan a lawyer now."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ooh, wow. Jenn texted, and I'm going to put Jenn back on here. Heard Stephan's dad and said, "Get Stephan a lawyer now." My word, oh man. That red flag is flying for Jenn Soto. She's like, yeah, you need to get him a lawyer now. You want to protect him? You're not worried about your daughter? Not looking for her? Wow. Pretty scary, right? Shauna said, so just to be clear, his parents know what he's been charged with, but not the murder yet. Yeah. On the March 6th, he'd already been arrested on February 28th and charged with over 60 counts of the CSAM charges. So he said, I would be a bawling, angry mess realizing I raised a monster. Would blame myself. I mean, yeah, their reaction is definitely... I don't know what normal is in the scenario, but not normal. Right? Just like bragging about him and saying how marvelous he is and how clever and just all the things. Just like, wow. But given, just like read the room, right? So Scott Perkins, they said less is truly sometimes more. Yeah, less is more. They said a lot. Oh, my word. Jenn is texting Stephan's dad and saying, you need to get him a lawyer now? Whoa.
Why? And then she says, well, they have found these images on Stephan's phone that there's sex acts between Maddie and Stephan. I go, I disbelief and go, okay. And I asked her how long, and she said 2 years. And she said something to the effect, like he needs a lawyer up.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was just really weird. And so a few hours later, she kind of comes out of the. I'm communicating with her before this, and I said I got to go get something to eat, and got to use the restroom. The station's locked up. I can't get in. And she said, well, they said go up to a Wawa or something. I said okay. And the next thing you know, no, they're going to let me out and go to get something to eat. So she comes out, and demeanor is just matter of factly, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we get in the car, and we're talking, and we go to get something to eat. And I kept thinking, this is a woman who just learned that her child had been sexually abused for the last 2 years, and she's acting towards me like nothing's happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. If that's how it happened, this is their version of the story. Oh my word. Yeah, and Kathleen says, how long? Is a very weird reaction. So according to Stephan's dad, he's saying that Jen's like, you need to get Stephan a lawyer now. And he's like, why? It's like, they found evidence on his phone of him sexually abusing her daughter, Maddie. And then the dad's like, how long? How long? Oh my word.
And it's like another day, another evening out, we're just spending time together. That entire time. And then I take her back to the police station. And then she's done with her interview. The detectives come out and say, hey, we want to talk with you. I said, fine, there's somebody going to have a conversation with me. Arrange for her to get in the car to stay with Sailor. And I go up and have my conversation with Alex, and then I go back to the car, and I'm going to take her back home because she needs a ride home. And even her demeanor of coming out with the detectives is just like, everything's fine. And
did she act like that during previous contacts with you guys, whether it be last month, last year? Was it the same kind of interaction?
Yeah. If anything, this is the most interaction I've ever had with her. Mm-hmm. Because when she came here, I never really interacted with her unless we're having a meal together. Mm-hmm. And so we're leaving, and I'm taking her home. And I kept thinking as we're talking, I'm expecting her to just blow up and start beating the shit out of me or scratching me or chewing my ass out. But no, none of that. I kept waiting for something to explode. And matter of fact, as we're leaving, before we went downstairs to the lobby, Stephan handed me his pocket knife and said, you better hang on to this. That's okay. And then I threw it into the console of my car as I'm leaving. I look down and I see this knife, and I go call Alex and say, hey, Stephan gave me his knife that's got it in the console. Maybe you should have it. Mm-hmm. So I swung back around and took it to her, and I didn't get any questioning from her. What are you doing that for? You know, I kind of expected that, but I didn't. Ran to the piece of paper, gave it to Alex, gave him a statement, and we left. Took her back, and everything, she's acting just too normal. It doesn't seem, it's acting abnormal because she shouldn't be that way. Her demeanor should be entirely different.
It's so weird that they're saying that. Like, do they need a mirror? She held up a mirror. That's what we're saying about this interview. Why are you talking about your son like that? And being cute and tiny, like a little boy in a little sailor outfit, and he's so intelligent, and he's this and that, and messy, but who cares? And what? Like, this is about Maddie. This entire case is about 13-year-old Madeline Soto being sexually abused, not for 2 years. If Jen said that, she lied, unless she didn't know the amount yet. More like 5 years, or longer. Oh my goodness. And, I don't know, I'm just at a loss for words. I just can't believe what they're saying. Oh my word. I can't wait to read all your comments afterwards as well. Make sure you leave some comments too. I see lots of people are emailing me. There's a lot of emails that just came in now. Please leave some of those, like whatever you're emailing me as well, please leave it in the comments too. I would like to read those as we go. Oh my word. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left. Strange. Very strange though. The Jen's like, you need to get a lawyer. And also strange that Stephan says to his dad, you should probably hold on to this. And it's a pocket knife. I'm just saying, if he's giving it to his dad, like, you hold on to that. The dad's like, what?
And then she goes on to tell me that Stephan was sexually frustrated because she and Stephan were not having sex. Her medication changed. She didn't have any interest in sex, and so there was no sexual engagement between the two of them.
And she also told the roommates that. Jenn Soto told, especially one of the roommates, that her and Stephan weren't having sex, especially for the last 6 months and all that. But now here's another angle from other people, Stephan's parents. And she's apparently saying to the dad, you need to get Stephan a lawyer because they found evidence of him sexually abusing Maddie, okay, for at least 2 years. And the dad's like, okay. And she's not angry about it or anything. In fact, she justifies it, it sounds like, by saying, well, he's sexually frustrated because we don't have sex anymore. What? Phew.
And I said, well, this is really unusual conversation to hear this from a mother that, if you ask anybody else, what would your reaction to be? I said, I would be batshit crazy beating somebody up. And that was not the case. And then I saw the interview. And I said, I keep thinking, if I saw that interview Tuesday and they called me, I said, no effing way would I have gone to Orlando, because I would have seen for myself, like everybody else did on YouTube, they weren't buying the story. And what I saw Stephan doing was a repeat of what he had talked to me about.
I'm saying that's us. I'm not saying that's me. I'm saying that's us, you guys. We were like, what? Because we've been following this case since Madeline went missing. It was the first press conference being like, there's this 13-year-old missing, and there were missing persons, missing endangered child flyers that we were sharing around, and just like, I hope they find her, and maybe she went to live in the woods. Remember that? So, and then suddenly, there was the interview that I've got on the right-hand side there that I'm showing a bit of there. Oh, we looked at that before as well. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's on the playlist. But we were all looking at it like, yeah, this seems a little weird. Pretty sus what those two were saying already back then. And the more we go and the more we learn, it doesn't get any better. Wow.
On Monday evening.
Video
and
pictures.
Thank you.
I was just, I couldn't, her mannerisms were exactly what I saw and observed Wednesday evening, if not even better, I was just in disbelief as to how she spoke and how she handled herself at the point when the bird came into the scene and was squawking or doing whatever, and everybody paused and you waited, and then it stopped, and then she smiled, and I said, boy, that's an unusual response to smile about this bird. And I said, the beater was just way off. But then, it carried forward into Wednesday. I don't think I would have come up, but then I wouldn't have learned some other things about her had I not come. But it's like, why was I brought to Orlando? Unless to get me out of the house.
Which left me here alone.
So I have no idea, but
you watched his interview that he gave to the news, right?
Yeah.
So it's the interview that I've got on the right-hand side there, just with some background visuals, and we watched it together. But it's, if you type in on YouTube, Jenn Soto interview, you'll find it. It's the WFTV Channel 9 interview. It was almost 16 minutes. And there was another one with, I think it was Fox 35 as well. Ooh, those interviews, we were all like, okay. Couldn't say that much at the time, like, wow, that's very strange. And look at the boyfriend in the background cracking his knuckles. That was so strange. Do you guys remember that? Oh, my word. So now that's what the dad's talking about, seeing that interview later and being like, what? Then he says he wouldn't have gone through there, and he's like, why did I have to go? But earlier the dad also said he chose to go to help them with anything they needed, to go stay at the hotel as well, right?
Because you said that was roughly what he told you on the phone.
Yeah.
What was his reaction like to you? Did it seem genuine? Did it seem...
It was very difficult to tell when he was... I could never tell if he was lying to me or not. I mean, it was very difficult. I just... At one point, I just said, you know what? If his lips are moving, he's lying, and I'll never get the truth out of him, and there's no way of breaking him. We're missing a Rolex. Where did that go?
My father's Rolex.
So, he would never fess up to that. And again, where did all this money come from? Where's his Omega watch? So I'm assuming where all this money was coming from is that maybe he sold off his Omega and maybe sold off the Rolex, which I find shocking. He would sell that Rolex first before he would sell his Omega, because that's how much he cherished that watch. He inherited some money and immediately went out and spent $7,000 on a watch like he really needed to. So I have no idea where that was.
That's so weird. Sure, yeah, big red flags there. Also, I see someone asking what hearts or symbols can we use in the chat in honor of Madeline Soto. Her favorite colors, which we found out from the vigil in April, were green and lavender, because everyone there was wearing green and purple. So I believe green and purple, those were her favorite colors. So if you want to share green and purple hearts in honor of Madeline, you can do that.
But he was very impulsive. He couldn't wait. If he wanted something somehow, some way, he got it.
Do you guys have ties to St. Cloud?
No.
We do what?
St. Cloud. No,
St.
we
Cloud.
have no ties to St. Cloud.
No ties to St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Any reason why he would have went there?
I have no idea. Other than the fact that maybe he's just trying to get as far away as possible. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, based on what I've seen on TV, I can see where the flat occurred and where he had to drive, I guess, 2 miles back to the hard surface. And maybe something happened. He drove that rubber right off that wheel. Have no idea why he was down there.
Obviously, not an easy question. Do you?
Wait. We'll get to that now. It is odd that Stephan went to that St. Cloud area if he had known that Jenn went hiking in the St. Cloud area. You know, I've seen some people speculate, what if he was trying to like frame her somehow? Or like, I don't know, implicate her somehow because of the crock in her bedroom, right? The one crock of Maddie's, throwing stuff right away right there at the trash, and then going to St. Cloud, and that's where he put Madeline's body. That's all a bit odd. And going back to the scene in Jen's car. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, right? Wouldn't put it past him. Okay, so we're almost there. 8 minutes.
He was capable of doing what he did?
I would, if you had asked me Sunday, I would have said no. Never in a million years. He loved that child that was supposed to be his stepdaughter if they stayed together. He helped raise her. He was not allowed to discipline her. Maddie did that. Jen did that. But he acted as a peacekeeper. But no. And
shame, man. The distancing language, of course. He loved that child. He helped raise her. No, he didn't. He abused her. Almost from moment one. I mean, they know about the CSAM charges at this point. I don't understand. He didn't help raise her. He couldn't even raise himself. He's not raised at all.
to kill her? No. I think if I had to put forward a guess, I would think that it was accidental. I think that, I know it's stupid. Yes, I'm Irish, and yes, I've had dreams that are precognition. Yes, they come true, but I did have a dream, and in that dream, they were in Stephan's room and in Maddie's room, unclothed. Jen came in to wake her up. Was confronted by the fact that they were together in a way they shouldn't have been, and I think a struggle ensued, and she either hit her head or broke her neck. So I don't think there was couldn't have been a gunshot because everybody would have heard it. I think stabbing, you'd have found blood. So that's the only thing I can think. And that then as she would have told Stephan, and in my dream, this is all your fault. You caused this. This is all your fault. You have to fix it. We think
he's being the front person on this and falling on the sword. And
it's a very loud ringtone right now. Sorry about that. Doesn't happen when I boost the sound, right? When that phone call goes off. Jamie Leah said, so proud of you, joined after a year of lurking. Thank you so much. Whoa. I mean, that was Debra Sterns' dream. It sounds like a nightmare. Okay. It's always interesting. I'm not saying it at her. I'm just like, when we analyze true crime interviews and they're like, it's a dream. Like, it's a nightmare. I had a nightmare. Well, yeah. Not a dream. Okay. So of Stephan's room. See, they call it Stephan's room there at the house. We've looked at, that's bedroom number 4. Okay. And then Maddie's room, which is not a room. It's a partitioned off area in the living area. I speculate big time things happen downstairs there. There's a lot of clues. Okay. I think he may have gone upstairs, but at some point back downstairs. I don't know. And I know a lot of people have also speculated, according to Debra's dream, that maybe Jenn, who said she forgot to take her medication the night before, and wasn't quite herself. Like I just worry about that a little bit. Initially, before we learning all this information, a bit of a gut feel of mine was like, oh my word, what if Jenn snapped and strangled Maddie? That was a thought we had, right? Well, I don't think it's completely off the table, although she's not charged at all. We don't know if she'll ever be charged with anything. Maybe she's not involved whatsoever. Maybe he drugged her or something. Stephan Sterns, right? Maybe he knocked Jenn completely out. Who knows? But it's just like, oh dear, like the mother's dream. The mother's dream is quite interesting, right? ASMR with Molly. Says, I'm a mental health therapist, and boy, did they miss so many signs. Lack of boundaries, brain trauma, social awkwardness, obsessions. I hope Maddie is at peace. Thank you so much, Molly. I really appreciate that. Yeah, there were a lot of red flags right in front of them all along, right? They missed a lot of those. Oh dear. Okay.
Jenn's definitely complicit in this in some way. That's what we think.
So then you believe that Jenn would have prioritized your son more than her own daughter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because she didn't have anybody else.
Oh, I think they made a pact.
I think they
And again,
decided who was going to
look
do
at
what.
her hugging him and consoling him
Yes.
at that interview, knowing full well what the truth is. And I think Stephan's decided to be the fall guy in this because he's feeling remorse over the inappropriate relationship he had with Maddie, and that since if he's going to be discovered in this, that he's going to be the front guy in this. But she's just as culpable as he is in this.
The other thing is that as a mother, I have seen that child cry. You do not fake the sound in his voice, the clogged sinuses that he was dealing with.
Oh my.
The man was sick.
That he was a sick puppy. But they mean, in the interview that I'm showing you on the right there, they mean he was, his parents believe he was for real feeling sorrow, sad, all of that, right? Marie said, the only thing I've not retained is how was Maddie found where she was. It was a press conference that was held where the police then shared information that about the vehicle, seeing the Lincoln, saying if you saw, and it had a spare tire, if you saw anyone changing a tire, if you saw this car, here's the number plate and everything. They shared that. And within 2 hours, somebody had called in that saw the press conference and said, I saw that car. I saw that vehicle on this Hickory Tree Road, and told the cops exactly where then. And they swarmed the area. They looked around there and they found Maddie's body. That was on March 1st. Yeah, you guys are agreeing. And that's why I paused it right there. He is sick. Yeah, yes. Okay, so, but that's obviously not how his mother meant it in that moment. Let's go back a few seconds so you can hear the whole context here.
That's the only thing I can think, and that then as she would have told Stephan, and my agreement was, this is all your fault. You caused this. This is all your fault. You have to fix it.
We think he's being the front person on this and falling on the sword, and Jenn's definitely complicit in this in some way. That's what we think.
So then you believe that Jenn would have prioritized your son more than her own daughter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because she didn't have anybody else.
Oh, I think they made a pact.
I think they
And again,
decided who was going to
you look
do
at
what.
her hugging him and consoling him at that interview, knowing full well what the truth is. And I think Stephan's decided to be the fall guy in this because he's feeling remorse over the inappropriate relationship he had with Maddie, and that since if he's going to be discovered in this, that he's going to be the front guy in this. But she's just as culpable as he is in this.
The other thing is that as a mother, I have seen that child cry. You do not fake the sound in his voice, the clogged sinuses.
But she, I'm glad I went back. She said, as a mother, I have seen that child cry. But he's not a child. He's a 37-year-old man. He's a 37-year-old predator, child predator. Hello. As a mother, I have seen that child cry. Oh, no. I'm just saying, given the context, no. Because I was first like, which child is she talking about? Oh, your son. Okay. Steel guitar is like, somebody please unplug that guitar. And everyone's saying, fall guy. Yeah, I don't think he's the fall guy, although their theory is quite interesting. That was my initial theory. That was my initial gut instinct with this case of like, whoa. Like maybe he's covering up something that happened in the home. Like because they like kind of all part of it, you know what I mean? But Jenn hasn't been charged with anything like that. He's been charged with over 60 counts of CSAM. He's been charged with first-degree premeditated murder. I mean, the things that he was Googling, the anesthetic and that kind of stuff that we looked at yesterday. If you missed it, it's all time-stamped for you. That's why I do timestamps, because I don't know if you're anything like me. This is a lot of data that we're all processing together as a community in the last, especially few days. It's a lot. I could re-listen to this seriously like 10, 20 times, and every time I'll be like, oh, I didn't pick that up. Or, oh, yeah, this. Or it like all starts coming together, right? So I timestamp it for you so you can listen to the replays and hopefully pick up things that maybe we all missed. Leave it in the comments, okay? Or email it to me or something. It's always great. So Gia said, so she's saying in the interview at the house, consoling him, that she knew that he had essayed Maddie. It sounds like, I mean, what are they implying that she knew, you know? But I know that many of us think Jen knows something. She knew something. It just seems like it because there's such blatant lies that she has shared along the way, right? Okay, let's go.
That he was dealing with. The man was sick.
The man.
No. I don't know if she just feels vindicated that she took care of it. I don't know, but I know that he's the only one that's feeling any remorse or any sorrow for that child, and she is not.
I told Debbie when I left Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, I said, do we really know our son? Because at that point, I didn't know what to question. But,
apparently not, from some of the stuff that's coming out of these calls into Gray Hughes.
Yeah, but anyway.
I mean, stuff that one kid said that we were providing him with Hustler magazines. We've never had a Hustler magazine in our house. We don't have booze in our house unless it's for people to come to visit. We don't drink. We don't do drugs. Don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Quit those when before I got pregnant with him.
Yeah. But just a lot of it, connecting the dots after the visit, what have you, and then seeing that interview, I was like blown away by that interview. It's like,
I think people are making some crap up just to be sensational.
Yeah.
It's the internet. You gotta take it for what it's worth.
Just
When do you think, well, I don't know if you can tell us or not. I see 3 milestones coming up that we have to prepare for the backlash. The autopsy, obviously the charges that come out afterwards, and then if the other shoe drops with Jen, and hopefully that happens where it diffuses some of this to where it needs to go as well.
I can answer one of those questions. The autopsy is done. Autopsy was done Saturday. But as for the other two, we can't really.
The top of the heap.
I know you guys have to get your act together on that, because that obviously is very important to the case in getting all that put together.
You're not going to tell us how she died, are you?
Can't.
Or when?
Can't.
They can't do that. No, can't do that.
When everything comes to an ending,
we need a heads up
will.
because we've already had people coming to the door with microphones and crap and vans out front, and I'm getting hate mail, hate texts, hate phone calls. People saying some pretty awful things to me about being a rotten mother, and
what we've explained to others that we have interviewed, we can't tell you guys what to do. All that we can do is ask, is it if media contacts you or something like that, you don't want to contact them, direct them towards us. And then we will do, our department will handle the media stuff.
Northport's been great. They've actually stepped up their
drive-bys.
patrol units here. They know what we're up against, so they've been very helpful.
well, the Laundries were here, so they've been through this before in the last 2 years.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Isn't that strange? Tiny little Northport where people go to die. This is God's waiting room, a bunch of old farts here. And we have 2 murders.
Well, it wasn't here.
It wasn't, no, it didn't happen here, but still,
Yeah.
they're tracing the parents to Northport. Well,
The
Laundries
Laundries.
kid came home and they helped him, so that's a little bit different. But still, I don't want to feel like I have to look over my shoulder all the time. I don't want to feel like I have a target on me. It's you have to have nails to get that out. You want me to get it out for you?
I got it.
Well, like I said, I really do appreciate you guys speaking with us. Since our conversations were recorded, you swear everything that you told us was true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
To the best of our
Okay, thank you.
I knew there was a reason there were 3.
Okay, so that's that clip from the Kissimmee Police Department. All right. That was a lot. I want to hear that again. And again and again and be like, what on earth is there's so much information in there? Oh my goodness. They're talking about the Laundries in Northport, Florida. There's that other family. But they helped their son. But would you not help your son? Because it sounds like you would. Sounds like you would, right? So I have told you this before, you guys. We did some map time. I was curious, how far. Hold on, I'll tell you how far. 4343 Wabasa. We're never going to forget the Laundries house, unfortunately. Brian Enton stood outside that house for so long. 3.7 miles. They live 3.7 miles away from the Laundries, okay? Let's see if we take the shortcut here. Wait. Yeah, still, it's 3.7 miles, a 7-minute drive. Yeah, at this rate, they could be friends with the Laundries. Hey, Vicky, welcome. Oh, my goodness, yeah. Constance is like, why would she even say that out loud? Mm-hmm. Does it feel like a relatable case there? They know about that. They're like, Northport, Florida. Mm-hmm, yeah. Maybe they watched our show when we talked about it. Because we were talking about it before, like, wait, Northport, what? Like, the parents were there? I don't know. But, like, I'm sure they knew about it, though. Living there, how could you not, right? Know about Roberta Laundrie, and Brian Laundrie and bringing Gabby's van home. Wow, that was a huge case. So, 3.7 miles away, and they are 3.7 miles north of the Laundries. Okay, very close to the I-75. I'm not doxing them. I'm just saying they're more, the Laundries are more south. Okay. Wow. Bernadette says maybe Stephan was in love with Maddie. Well, yes, probably, which is child abuse, inappropriate, should never happen. And at the end of the day, he's been charged with her murder. He's the person they say murdered her based on all the evidence, right? And it took long. They investigated thoroughly. It was like 2 months later because we're all wondering, what? Like, if he was there and he changed a tire there and then her body's found there, why is he not charged with murder? We all wondered that for the longest time. It felt like forever. And then suddenly there it was. We watched that press conference together with the district attorney and saying, okay, he's been charged with murder and they are seeking the death penalty. So we've read through that document as well. There's been a lot of documents in this case. Oh my goodness. So if you've missed some of it along the way, I mean, I revisit the playlist too, especially because I timestamp things. I'm like, wait, we've got to go back to that and see what they said there. And what about this? Because there's so much to consider. There's so many layers to this case. And how sad for Maddie. Look, this is a picture that Grizzly Cat found of Madeline Soto that I had never seen before. Shame. She was so cute. I don't know how old she was there. But I mean, when she was murdered, she just turned 13. It's quite crazy, right? Yeah, Gumshoe Lolly's like, Freudian slip, mommy dearest. So, I think we all have a lot to say about everything we just heard. I still have some more audio files to work through and to share with you. I don't know does anyone feel like, is your brain full? Because my brain is full. Like, we've heard a lot over the last few days. Like, holy crap, we've heard a lot. But I'm going to be working through those other audio files, except I will not be playing Maddie's friends clips because I don't want to put those poor little girls. I'm not gonna put them on the internet, even though they redact their names. That's their little voices when they 12, 13 years old. No. So there, I'm gonna listen to it again because we've already read through the documents what they said. Okay, I'm gonna listen to it again. If there's anything else that they added, then I will share it with you. Okay, the next episode that we do, the next live stream. But there's still ones with Madeline's teachers, her counselor. We've gone over those details. Okay, there was a part 1, 2, and 3 we did about, I think it was like 2 months ago. It's on the playlist. Deep dive of a 896-page document that came from the district attorney's office. All right. So I can actually show you. Just hold on 1 second. Just hang in there for 1 second, guys. I want to just show you something quickly. So we're still going to go over some of that. I'm going to bring this over here. Quickly go like this so that I can show you. Stand by. And I'm looking forward to reading your comments, as I say, in all your emails. Okay, let's find the playlist for you. There we go. View the full playlist. Okay, here we go. So, I keep mentioning it, and I see people are missing what I'm saying. So just go like this. Okay, so here's the playlist, right? We've done a lot of things. Oh my goodness, because the information is just coming out so fast. And this FOIA request, wow, like it took 4 months, okay? for the court clerk to make that. Of course, once they made it for myself and Grizzly Cat, then it's ready. Then everyone can get it very quickly, right? Which is great. It always works like that. But like, damn, we were like, where is it? It took forever. A lot of patience there. So, okay, we've got, this is part, new details in the Kissimmee Police Report. So this part 1 and 2 is about a Kissimmee Police Department report. But a while ago, and we looked at Jenn Soto's interviews, we did this part 1, 2, and 3. Here's a part 3. See, part 1, new details revealed in search warrants, incident reports, and interviews. Madeline Soto's case. Part 2, police interviews with Madeline Soto's friends. So if you want to know what the friends said, go to that part 2 on the playlist. That's where you're going to hear all of it, because it was a huge document with a lot of details. A lot of what we have now is a repeat, okay? Just now we've got the audio files, of course. That's the difference here. But a lot of the documents, the Kissimmee Police one is a new one. But it's a repeat of information we've already heard. So go here, part 1, 2, here was part 3. Why did Stephan Sterns move out? Police interviews and evidence collection. And we also got to hear his interview a while ago too. Stephan Sterns, there we go. New Stephan Sterns police interview. So some of those files were included in this FOIA request. So we have heard some of it before. A lot of the body cam as well. I was a little disappointed. It's all the same. I was like, really? After all that, like, it's the same that we saw months ago, but at least we have it. At least we have it, right? And these audio files are definitely new. Okay. Tony, that's what I'm saying. So we have read it before. That is what we've done before. And I'm going to go over it again, listening to it to compare what we've gone over before. And if there's anything new, I will share it. But we read in detail what they said based on all those district attorney documents, the police documents, and all of that. Okay? So, oh my goodness, everyone. Rest well. All right. Happy Sunday if you're watching on Sunday with me live. Wishing you a great new week ahead. I will be back probably tomorrow, but I've got some work to do. I've got some more audio files to make and things to do. And so make sure you subscribe, notifications on, so you don't miss when I next go live. If you are a member or you just became a member today, check out the members only playlist. We had a live stream last night and you might want to check it out. I was telling you about Judge Don Ash and behind the scenes updates from my appearance on Court TV. All right. Thank you so much to everyone who liked, shared, subscribed. That's great ways to support the channel, watching the video. And to everyone who bought stickers and are sending PayPals and coffees and everything, you guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. Remember to check out Patreon as well. All right, everyone. I will see you again very soon. Leave your comments below. Bye.
A voice said, "Don't go."